Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marcus White.
And my name is Fight Mode Nick Cavalli, and we welcome you as always to the Revolution.
Yes, we welcome you to the Wrevolution Pro Wrestling Podcast, and it is the day after Wrestlemania while we're recording this, and we are both pleasantly surprised. WWE, you did it. You did it, guys. WrestleMania was not the bore fest that I thought it was going to be this year. In fact, it was actually quite good.
Yes, it was, and most importantly, and still, Revolution Pro Wrestling Podcast, World Heavyweight Champion. Oh, it warms my heart. I beat you twice in a row, both on WWE shows.
Yeah, I mean...
Best of all, I outscored you on night one and tied you on night two of WrestleMania.
Yeah, WWE definitely... It came down to a couple bad picks in the women's matches. One where I actually got the pick right. I just didn't go with my original pick. And that's... Yeah, you never doubt yourself. You never... second guess. You always go with the original pick, so that was my fault. And then there was actually one point where you actually gave me the opportunity to earn a bonus point, and I should have took it, and I decided not to because I didn't think it was fair to, throw in extra points after we had already done our picks. So it definitely wouldn't have been fair.
Match.
Yeah, yes and no, and. And for those of you that saw Mania, you already know what we're talking about, but we'll get into it later on. But yeah, there was one point where we just got another match just kind of randomly happen after another match. So that was interesting. But I don't want to waste any time. This is already probably going to be a long video. So let's just go ahead and jump right into day one of WrestleMania. Not live from the Performance Center, as Mania this year was pre-taped earlier in the week. And that was to its credit. This was, first of all, I'd say the best pre-taped show we've gotten out of WWE, because unlike Raw and SmackDown, where we've seen like a lot of editing problems, a lot of bad takes, they actually really did a good job putting this show together editing-wise. So this is, I'd say, the best taped show we've seen from WWE in a while. I didn't watch the pre-show because who cares? If you have any input, as you did watch the pre-show, so I don't know if you have any input on that.
Night one pre-show, Drew Gulak and Cesaro. Cesaro wins. Cool.
Yep.
Next, please.
Mania starts off with the women's tag team match. It's going to be...
Wait. They have tag titles?
Yes, I know, right? And as expected, first let me go over who was in the match. It's Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss versus the Kabuki Warriors, which is, of course, Kairi Sane and Asuka. And, yeah, like everyone thought, the Kabuki Warriors did lose this match. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross do pick up the victory here. This was not a great match. WrestleMania Day 1 definitely was off to a slower start than Day 2. This match was kind of sloppy at times. There was one point where Nikki Cross hits a neck, like the twist neck breaker, and there was a spot. The spot was that Kairi Sane was supposed to go up to the top rope and then hit the insane elbow to break up the pinfall, but she was kind of late getting in position, so the referee had to go like 1, 2... And it was just like, we should have new champions at that point. Like, for how long he held his damn hand in the air. That's one critique where I could say you definitely, with WrestleMania being pre-taped, you could have done that spot again and just taped over it. I mean, I guess they didn't think it was that big of a deal, but I noticed it. I don't know if...
Well, and I think what they tried to do was cover it up with a really sloppy cut job, because if you notice, the camera cuts away and then... Like, they try to edit it a little bit so that it feels like it's not that close.
Yeah.
It's been a 3 count.
Yeah, no, it definitely should have been a 3 count. But, after that, we end up having Alexa Bliss hit Twisted Bliss for the win. So new women's tag champions in the team of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. So now we won't see those titles defended for another 2 or 3 months now. So
well, they have nothing else to do, Nikki and Alexa. It's not like where Asuka's going after singles titles while being the tag champ. So maybe we'll see them defended next month, whatever pay-per-view that might be, if we have a pay-per-view next month.
Maybe. I mean, fingers crossed you can actually do something with your women's tag division, as tiny as it is already. But
yeah. So good on you guys, by the way. Congratulations to Nikki and Alexa. Nikki with a true WrestleMania moment. WrestleMania. And to Alexa Bliss, as always, looking extremely talented. She was a little bit sloppy in the ring, almost as though there's some ring rust, because
hasn't wrestled
in 4 months.
Yeah.
But she looked pretty good. That first Twisted Bliss she hit on the back of Kairi Sane looked like she genuinely hurt herself pretty bad. So hope you're all good.
All right. So next we have Elias versus King Corbin. And again, this is another example of Mania starting off slow. So Corbin comes out and he proclaims that Elias is not going to be able to compete in the match because of the attack that he did on SmackDown. So he's demanding that he gets proclaimed the winner. He's ready to celebrate. And then, to no one's surprise, Elias comes out. He's fine. He's got, taped up ribs and whatever. But yeah, he's fine. He comes on out. They have a pretty nonchalant, boring match. It wasn't, again, it's not even that the wrestling was bad per se. It's just, I don't care. What's the storyline here? It's just not good. Yeah, these two don't really match up well either.
They're fighting because WrestleMania.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I did fail to mention that Elias, when he comes out, he smashes Corbin with a guitar out the gate. But he does end up winning with a roll-up, and he grabs the tights. So Elias is victorious in this match. That means nothing. But good on Elias. He got his WrestleMania moment, I guess. So, cool. Next, we get Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler for the Raw Women's Championship. So this is the first match that actually meant something, at least to me. This is where, honestly, you could say WrestleMania actually started. So, I mean, if I have to describe day one WrestleMania, it was just doing this the entire show. So this is definitely where where you actually start to get into it. So this match was really good. Amplifying the fact that there was a lack of crowd, and I've noticed this throughout every match, but you really noticed it with this match. These people are hitting hard. Shayna and Becky were going at it. It was big strikes from both women. And I think, I forget who it was that tweeted this out. It was a wrestler. I want to say it was Chris Jericho. But he talked about how, the crowd really does a good effect to null the amount of pain that these guys are enduring during their matches. So every hit, every blow feels like it has a lesser impact than it actually does. So now you're hearing just how much these people are putting themselves through each and every night. So that's the one upside I think that you're getting from having shows like this where there is no crowd noise, is that if you don't understand just how much these people have to endure in every match, you're actually starting to recognize that. So it played to this match's benefit in the fact that you could tell these two have genuine disdain for each other, kayfabe-wise, honest, obviously. So this was, again, a very hard-hitting match, really good match. And then we get to the end, and that's where the controversy happens, and that the result is definitely not what we were anticipating, nor did we want, and the fact that Becky Lynch gets the victory here. She gets it clean. Clean victory over Shayna Baszler at WrestleMania, so the champ retains. I told Nick immediately, I texted him, I said, I knew it, because it's the truck. They bought her a semi-truck, Nick.
I'm really disappointed in this. This doesn't push a storyline forward. This doesn't do anything, and we talked about it at the end of the night. At the end of the second night, The 4 horsewomen are infallible. They don't lose. They can't lose. It's
unless
impossible.
you're Sasha. Unless you're Sasha.
They're Taker at Mania.
Unless you're Sasha, who's 0-5 at Mania now.
For real, though. But you were talking about Chris Jericho tweeting about WrestleMania. There were actually a couple of guys from All Elite Wrestling who were openly tweeting about WrestleMania, and there were no controversies, no backlashes from the company. So props to Tony Khan and Cody for just saying, look, guys, it's pro wrestling. You do what you want to do. Go talk about it.
Yeah.
Jericho and Matt Hardy talked about it throughout the shows. Matt Hardy's still talking about it today. And come to find out, the producer for the Boneyard match was the person who produced the final deletion.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So this was, again, my biggest issue with this is not even just the fact that it makes Shayna look bad, but it's the fact that this makes your whole women's division on Raw look awful, because you did the whole storyline of Shayna coming in and being this unkillable monster. I mean, you had her for the first time ever. You had someone in an Elimination Chamber match eliminate every other competitor to win the match. That's never been done before. You had Shayna do that. You put her over massively. You've done all this work to build her up, and it's all for nothing. So what were these last couple of weeks for? What was this last month and a half for? This was a waste of time. You did nothing. You accomplished nothing. We're back to square one.
If you recall, when all of this monster booking, like the Brock booking, started happening for Shayna, you were getting a little bit upset about it because you're like, they're gonna ruin it. They're gonna ruin it. They're gonna ruin it. I was like, the only way that it's going to be okay is Shayna wins. Shayna didn't win.
Yeah.
So you literally did all of this for nothing.
Yeah.
At all.
You've wasted everyone's time, and not only have you put yourself back at square one, but first of all, you've gone the opposite direction. The fact that now you make Becky Lynch look like she's unbeatable. Who is going to take the championship from her if Shayna can't do it? My God, how does this affect Shayna? Because the last time we saw an unkillable monster go down at their first WrestleMania, we know how well that went. Yeah,
Yikes.
We're talking about you, Asuka. So,
she's going to be a women's tag champ within 2 years.
And then it's just, this doesn't do anything for this makes the Raw Women's division look so bad, worse than it already has. I don't know where you go from here. I really don't.
We need to have a draft now. Like before, I said we needed to have a draft because I just like shaking things up, making some changes. But like, it needs to happen now. You need to change things. And
that's even like what I'm thinking. I think the only way you can do anything with the Raw Women's division is if you do something like, I don't know, bring Bianca Belair up to Monday Night Raw, or someone like an Io Shirai, someone who hasn't been conquered yet by either Charlotte or Becky Lynch yet. Like, I don't know where you go.
Rousey back.
I mean that is the reports, is that it's going to be Rousey coming up next, but I feel bad for Shayna because, I mean, this is her moment, and it just sucks for her.
Shayna should have won, especially if Rousey is the next person in the pipe, to see Shayna v. Ronda.
Yes.
But no, we'll get Shayna v. Becky too. Or Ronda v. Becky too.
And you're going to get the problem too in the fact that you were already starting to get it at one point, but now it's going to really be ramped up in the fact that people were already starting to somewhat turn on Becky. You've just amplified that problem 10 times now, because now people are going to go, okay, now she's got the God booking. She can't lose. She is the next Charlotte Flair. And
this is the thing. Over the last, 4 years, there have basically been 6 people to hold the women's championship.
Yes.
The 4 horsewomen, Alexa, and Ronda Rousey.
Yep. That's it. That's literally it.
That's the last 3 years.
Yep.
Nobody else. Naomi. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Naomi held the belt.
5 months.
Asuka did Asuka, didn't she get a run with it at one point? I thought she did.
Yeah, like a week.
Yeah, she got a run with it. So we've had, besides that though, you Yeah, it's been,
I mean,
and I get it.
Any notable runs?
And I get that the four horsewomen, like, you know, they're the pioneers of this whole women's revolution type deal. I get it, but I mean, my God, your women's division has come leaps and bounds from where it was when this whole revolution thing first started. Like, you have the talent. You don't need to only push those four people anymore. So
You don't need to dig up the corpse of Tamina Snuka to come wrestle a match.
I feel bad for Tamina too, because she just never gets any love. I feel bad for her. But let's move on now. We got Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn. This was for the Intercontinental Championship, and this was really good. You want to talk about storytelling at its finest? This was fantastic.
Okay. So I have to look at this from two perspectives. You are 100% correct. If you're talking about pure storytelling in wrestling, this match was fantastic. But this is Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan, and instead of getting a 5-star classic, we got running away spots. We got the please don't hit me spots. We got multiple almost count out spots. Like, these two could, and I get that's not Sammy's character currently, but
yeah, and I was gonna say that too. Like, that's not. It wouldn't make sense where you're going with it.
Put on a 5-star freaking classic, and you're like, no. Sammy, even though you're one of the best wrestlers in the world, of course, no one would know that because he hasn't wrestled a match in like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Despite being a champion. Even though you're one of the best wrestlers in the world, we're going to give you a gimmick where you don't wrestle.
And your frustration's extremely justified in that sense. I mean, I've definitely, I mean, I've talked about it. I've had matches where I look at it and I go, I mean, the match was fine, but it wasn't what it should have been. So I definitely understand. If you're looking at it from that perspective, Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn on paper, yeah, should be one of the best matches of the night, if not of the entire pay-per-view. So the fact that we didn't get, you know, some super indie style, fast-paced classic match, I get it. Like, it's frustrating, but at the same time, you look at the match for what we got and what it is, it's still a really good match. I mean, storytelling-wise, they did a fantastic job. I don't know. I still am confused about Daniel Bryan and what his character is supposed to be. Maybe I don't know. I don't know if I'm just missing something crucial here, but I am very.
Because we don't watch SmackDown, right?
Yeah, I'm confused about what his end goal is. Like, what is his justification for being? Like, I don't know. I think he needs to go somewhere soon in terms of what you're going to do with him, but for this match alone, I mean, the match was definitely good. I definitely still agree with you in the fact that, yeah, it should have been way more than what we got. But for what it was a good match. There was one point, the way this match ends is Daniel Bryan tries a move from the top rope, and Sammy connects with basically a haluva kick, kicks his head off, and that's how Sami Zayn wins this match. So, props to you, Sami Zayn. If I'm correct, this is his first WrestleMania victory. So
I believe so.
So, props to you, Sami Zayn, for getting that first dub, your WrestleMania moment. If anyone deserves it, it's you. So, really happy to see that. Going forward...
Hey, so this is the most convoluted match of the night coming up.
Mm-hmm. Triple
and
threat.
that includes the fact that there's a boneyard match. This is the most convoluted one of them.
So, triple threat ladder match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. John Morrison.
Singles ladder match.
Yes. And it's John Morrison versus Kofi Kingston versus Jimmy Uso.
Versus the Uso?
Yes. This match on paper makes no sense. All kinds of stupid. But, again, this is another match where, you take what they give you, and wow, they sure delivered. These three men worked their asses off to bring us a great match. This
is one of my favorite matches from WrestleMania weekend this year. It was a fantastic match to see these guys go out there and give it their all. It's just, I don't know that I can ever get over the idea that we just had a singles match for tag titles. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I get why, because they just,
Me too.
but yeah, I mean, it's goofy, but this whole show was goofy. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you get what you get. You know what else was goofy? Was the ending of this match, and we'll get to that, but
Yikers.
there were some brutal spots in this match. Some like interesting spots. The biggest thing I noticed, and I saw that you tweeted this out, was the fact that these ladders were hella unstable.
These ladders scared me. Like, they looked very flimsy. They sounded like they were just going to break on every step.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. And I mean, again, it could be just the fact that we're not used to hearing that much in the ring, but just like visually wise, they looked like those things were just ready to topple over at any second. But what I liked, we saw a Starship Pain from John Morrison while Jimmy Uso was spread out across a ladder that was like jammed in the corner. He hit a Starship Pain on Jimmy Uso on that ladder, which looked like he like broke his ankle coming down. It was that's a hard spot to hit.
Gruesome move, gruesome landing, and
Yeah.
I hope you're okay, John Morrison.
Yeah, hard spot
Johnny
to
Impact, Johnny Mundo,
hit. Then
Johnny Nitro.
we also saw at one point, and which looked like, Uso was taking all the punishment. Jimmy Uso got sent flying off of a ladder to the outside by John Morrison again. So Uso,
He was back up like a minute and a half later, so.
yeah, but Uso playing the part of the guy that gets tossed all around the match.
Yep.
And then at one point we get to the end here, and all three men are up, climbing up the ladder. They've got a hold of the hook for the belts, and then they take the holder that's holding the belts and they unhook the entire thing. So
Now, why? Because, like, that's never been the rule.
well, I'm not confused as to why they had to unhook the whole thing, because it's holding two belts, and you've never had to you've never had a match like this before. So I guess I kind of see what
unclip both belts.
I guess.
Go watch TLC 2. That's what Christian does.
Oh, wait, hold on. Did you just say Christian first of all?
Yeah, man. That's the official pronunciation. Christian.
Okay. But no, I mean, but that's not even the goofiest part of this spot, because it's just the fact that you've got all three men fighting over this stupid holder, and then Morrison takes a shot from both Kofi and Jimmy. He collapses, but on his way down, like, just so happens to grab the belts, and he falls down to the mat while holding both championships, or both title belts. So he's declared victorious in this match. So Miz and Morrison retain.
Yeah, Morrison hit the ladder on the way down. That looked really bad. But, I mean, hey, congratulations, John Morrison. You were the first person to remember you only have to grab the belts to win the match, apparently.
Yeah, this was very dumb. I didn't like the ending. It was creative. I've never seen anything like it. But
it was an interesting spot. It brought me back to like that Dean Ambrose Seth Rollins ladder match where they both came down with the belt, and Rollins had it first and Ambrose pried it out of his hands. Who wins kind of situation. Like, that's cool. But it's goofy in the fact that why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, it was definitely something we've never seen before, that's for sure. But next we get the conclusion of this feud, I hope, please. Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens. Or excuse me, the Monday Night Messiah versus Kevin Owens.
Yes, this match was actually really good. The first match, Seth Rollins gets a DQ. And Kevin Owens goes, "No, we're not done here.
So then
no DQs, no rules."
So this is where Nick messages me and he goes, "So this counts as another match, right? Like, we're gonna bet, like, this is another match. We're gonna have to pick from this." And I was like, "No, like, it's." I don't know. Again, my mindset is that we had our set picks, so I mean, I didn't want to throw in an extra vote there, but yeah. So this match,
That kept me with my W.
I'm okay with it. I mean, either way, I mean, I would rather we have a set thing. So yeah, Kevin Owens wants to keep fighting. So this match, it's a new match, and it doesn't mean that not even the fact that it gets restarted. Like they just declare a new match. So they continue fighting. Rollins just beating the hell out of Kevin Owens for the most part, just tearing him down, beating him with a chair, saying, "Oh, you wanted this. This is what you get. It's your mouth, Kevin. Always gets you in trouble." Just beating him down, destroying Kevin Owens. And then Owens ends up getting the upper hand. And at one point, he goes to the top of the Mania sign that's by the announce table and leaps off the Mania sign, goes through Rollins, through the announce table. So that was a big spot. And then we end up getting back in the ring, and Kevin Owens wins with a stunner. So Kevin Owens wins both matches, first via disqualification, second legitimately. So big props to Kevin Owens getting his WrestleMania moment, his first WrestleMania moment. So props to you, Kevin Owens. Again, a lot of first in this pay-per-view. A lot of people that haven't got Mania wins getting their wins. Of course, some that should have gotten their wins, not quite there yet. But hopefully.
Then we get to my feel-good story of the night. He finally is on top of the world.
Yeah, well, before that, we get the 24/7 title.
Oh,
so
yeah, that's right, Mojo.
R-Truth sprints over to where our host, the Gronk, is sitting at. Him and Mojo Rawley. They're just having a grand old time. Gronk, by the way, was just so cringy like this entire show. It was bad. He couldn't remember some of his lines, so he'd like fumble through. It wasn't very good. But
No.
R-Truth comes over and he's like, "Yo, can I hide with you guys? I need to hide with you guys." And then Gronk clocks him, goes for the pin. Mojo throws him off, and Mojo gets the pinfall. So Mojo on night one reclaims the 24/7 championship. Then we get on to Otis versus Dolph. So, why are you looking at me like that?
Otis versus Dolph was on night 2.
In my notes, I have it written. Yeah, you're right. It was night 2.
I was like, wait, what?
No, so yeah, you're right. They had just done a promo, excuse me. So they made a promo package for Otis versus Dolph, excuse me. But next we do get Strowman versus Goldberg for the Universal Championship, and this was stupid. I'm gonna just be honest. I didn't like this. The match, classic lazy Goldberg match. Doing the spears over and over again, and then Braun Strowman gets the advantage, starts doing the power slams over and over again, and he's victorious. This was like a 3-minute match. So not even. No, very quick match, but Braun Strowman is your Universal Champion. Again, I guess my biggest thing with this is that cool. Like, I mean, I guess it's cool in the fact that Strowman, is victorious. He earns that first championship. Like, I mean, props to you, but I don't know. Strowman's not a guy that I look at and I go, oh, finally he's been pushed to the top of the mountain, because it's a guy that since day one has been handed everything. So it's not like some guy that had to work his ass off to fight against corporate trying to keep him down. Like, he's just your standard big guy that's getting pushed. So, I mean it's all fine. I mean, it's nice.
He's been in about 1 billion title matches. He's just never won one because Brock or because Roman. Yeah,
and I was going to say, too, I mean, it's fine for the fact that, I mean, at least when Roman comes back, he's going to lose. So,
probably, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, enjoy it while you got it, big fella, I guess. But
I mean, look, I love Braun Strowman as a character, and I look at it the same way that I look at a guy in rock and roll like Ted Nugent. I do not agree with Ted Nugent on just about anything in real life, but when it comes to rock and roll, I still appreciate his craft. That's kind of where I'm at with Braun Strowman, the way he's been treating indie wrestlers and been treating the indie scene recently. Obviously, I don't agree with him when it comes to his opinions on that, but when it comes to his work in the ring, I enjoy what he does. He's a very entertaining portion of the show, and he has been for a year or so now. And while, yeah, maybe he's about a year and a half past his due, I'm happy for him.
Yeah, be a star, guys. That's the message that I got from this whole match, was that yes, the face of the SmackDown brand, the Universal Champion, your guy, Braun Strowman, that's the be a star champion right there. So props to Mr. Strowman for that. Really, that's what we need.
Oh, come on. Like, it's not literally Vince McMahon's meat puppet. Pick yourself up by the bootstraps. It's your fault you're not here.
No, no one forced him to tweet that. Let's not make excuse. Let's not make excuses for him. He knows what he did.
For him. I'm just saying.
No,
like Vince doesn't support what he said.
No, exactly. No, but again, that's the sarcasm, the fact that it's be a star, So whatever. At least the title's off Goldberg. That's all I care about. But.
Yep. Hopefully Braun can have a good run with it and can redeem himself from a storyline perspective.
Yeah. So next we get, I don't even know if you can call this a match, cause this is the Boneyard match from Undertaker versus AJ Styles, and this was so much better than anything we've seen from Undertaker and God knows how long. This was fantastic. I'm saying this right now. Every Undertaker match needs to be a Boneyard match now. Do it like this. This was fantastic. So this match starts off. AJ Styles rides in. You know, they get the classic, like, you know, hearse comes in. They've got the Druids. They come out and open up the hearse. They've got the casket. They open it up, and it's AJ Styles. So he comes out. He's obviously mocking the dead man. And then you hear the music change. And what was the song? It was a Metallica song.
Yeah, it's Now That We're Dead by Metallica.
Yes.
So let me double check that, but I believe that's it. But yeah, go ahead.
So, yeah, we officially have the return of the ABA, the American Badass Undertaker. He rides in on a motorcycle. He went full-on gimmick change. I mean, he's got the jacket and everything. So this is no longer the Phenom. This is not, you know, the long trench coat wearing and the cowboy hat. No, this is the American Badass. This is Mark Calloway. So he rides it on
Mark Calloway, baby.
Yeah, so he rides it on the cycle, and from open and get, it was pretty much all Taker in this. This was a fight, by the way. This wasn't a match. This was just two guys just beating the hell out of each other.
It was great.
And I can't do it justice by talking about it, but the cinematography, the music, the lighting, the camera work, everything was spot on in this match.
So there's a couple things that are important that I wanted to highlight. First of all, this was a built set. It took 5 days to build. WWE contracted a set building company to come out and do it. So they went out and they taped, and it took them 8 hours to tape, between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. And there is a report, and it has been confirmed. They originally had shot it with little to no talking. They were just calling out spots to each other, like whispering and stuff. And Mark Calloway went to Triple H, who was supervising, and he said, something's not right here. We should be talking shit to each other or something. And Triple H said, you know what? This is your match. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And so that's when we get the trash talk, the bleeding. The Undertaker was not originally supposed to be cut open during that segment, but he said do whatever you want.
Yeah, that was my favorite part. He looks at his arm and he goes, "Son of a bitch, you got me bleeding, boy."
Yep.
It was, which it's so funny hearing Taker call Alan Jones boy when you consider that AJ is, not a spring chicken. He's not old by any means, but he's not the youngest fella on the roster. So that was kind of funny to hear. But
so the Undertaker has AJ in the grave, ready to bury him, and then, hey, dead man. The OC standing across the yard.
So that was, and as anticipated, these two they fight Undertaker, and this is when
they brought help.
Yeah, that was the interesting thing, is that like the wall of the building that they're in front of comes down, and you've just got all these like people in druid outfits, which I'm just like, who are these guys? So. Yep. That was interesting, but Taker's just like, he looks at it and like a true badass just goes, all right, let's go. So they just go right. He starts fighting them all, going to town. This was honestly like, this was so cool for, like, as an Undertaker fan, like this was just amazing. Like this was so fun to watch. It's like watching like a movie. Like it was fantastic. It didn't even feel like watching a match. This was just wonderful to watch. Hella entertaining. I liked the one part where it looks like Taker is done and dusted. You've got AJ, he's got the upper hand. He's talking crap to Taker, like, yo, this is the end for you. I'm going to bury you. Taker stands up. AJ grabs a shovel, breaks the shovel over the back of Undertaker, who falls into the grave. And so this is, by the way, this is like classic, I guess buried alive rules. Like you have to bury your opponent in the grave, So AJ gets on the tractor. He's going to unload the dirt on top of Taker in the grave. And then the gong goes off and Taker appears behind AJ Styles. And AJ is just utterly bewildered. How the hell did you get what happened? He's just, the whole time, Taker's like chasing him up to the top of the house and they're fighting. He's just like still stunned, like, what the hell? Like, I had you dead and buried. How did this happen? And Taker's response is perfect. Like, you don't survive 20 plus years in this business without, having a few tricks up your sleeve, So.
Yep. And then they get up to the top and there's nowhere to run, boy. You can run, but you can't hide, boy.
Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows get up there, and this is where we witness murder.
Well, yeah, so Taker sounds off the hellfire and flames to keep AJ Styles on the roof. Then Taker murders Gallows.
Yeah, he throws
Anderson onto the steel thatch
like rooftop
roofing,
thing,
and then chokeslams AJ to the ground from like 15 feet up.
Yeah.
So he killed two people and concussed one.
Yes. So finally, he's got AJ literally right where he wants him. He's, about to bury him. AJ's like pleading with him, please don't bury me. Don't bury me, please. I'm sorry, don't bury me. This whole time, Taker's talking shit. He's like, what's my wife's name now, huh? You want to say my wife's name now?
You remember my wife's name now? Wait a minute. You know what? How about you tell me how old I am? How old am I?
It was perfect.
I ain't got nothing left. This gonna hurt my legacy, is it?
And then finally he picks up AJ and he goes, I'm not gonna bury you, man. You gave me one hell of a fight. Best fight I've had in a while. I'm not gonna bury you, man. Hell of a fight.
I ain't got the fight out of you I ain't got the fight out of half the people that I've fought in my life that I got out of you today.
So he turns around, goes to walk away, and then as expected, turns back around, clocks AJ, sends him flying into the grave. So AJ, unconscious now in said grave. Taker gets up on the tractor, rest in peace, unloads the dirt on top of AJ Styles. And this is perfect because the last thing you see is AJ's hand sticking through the dirt, the glove. That's all that's left.
Yep.
And then,
Taker walks back towards his bike, picks up his bandana, puts it back on his head, gets on his bike, revs it up, moves forward a little bit.
Fist in the air.
Fire, fury, brimstone, and hellfire.
And then
all of the fire.
And then with Metallica playing, rides off into the moonlight. So
possibly for the last time.
Yeah. That's the one thing I've heard is that there are two people who we may have witnessed wrestle for the last time in WWE, and Taker is one of them. They're saying that that might have been Taker's, no pun intended, last ride. So
yeah. So couple things. First of all, if this is your last match, you went out on a hell of a match.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm always gonna love you. I'm always gonna respect you. He's one of the best in this business. And while there's so many matches I still wish I could see, I still wish you were, 40 years old and kicking the way that you were 15 years ago. But you put on a hell of a career, and if this was your last match and we don't get the Boneyard match against Sting next year that everybody wants so desperately, then good on you. Congratulations on a great career. But I hope to see you back in the ring tonight explaining, what happened and what it's going to mean for the future, because you look damn good, and I know it's a cinematic style match, but he's in some of the best shape he's been in the last 10 years.
I mean, I like the fact... I don't think you could have done this match any other way. I didn't want to see AJ and Undertaker have a classic style match. I don't think most people wanted to see that. So I'm glad that we got the match that we did. This was fantastic. Again, I can't give more praise to this match than what I'm already doing. Undertaker, yeah, he looked great. As a lifelong Undertaker fan, I know it may not sound like it all the time from the way I talk about it, but that's just because I'm such a fan that I like to see my heroes go out on top, right off into the sunset when they, still got their legacy intact. So I love the fact that we did see the return to the American Badass. I love from a storytelling perspective. I'm glad we didn't see the Phenom come back. We didn't get, the tired trope of, I'm gonna bury you alive, you're gonna... no, we got, you've been, breaking kayfabe, talking about my wife, my family, this whole time, so I'm not here to have a match with you. I'm here to kick your ass. We're gonna fight. Yeah. Like Mark Calloway came to fight at WrestleMania, and I love that. If that's the last we see of The Undertaker, I'm happy that it was the American Badass, that it was Mark Calloway coming back and going out on an ass whooping, delivering an ass whooping, classic Taker style. I love that.
Now, this is the one thing that makes me a little bit leery about the idea that this was a retirement match. Undertaker has talked time and time again behind the scenes about how he wants to go out. And of course, we're going to be getting a documentary series on it on the WWE Network. But people have always talked about how Undertaker wants to go out the way that every traditional wrestler went out. Everybody in the past, and you did not retire on a win.
Yes.
You just didn't do it. So that's the only thing that makes me a little bit leery about the idea that this is his last match, because if he sticks to what he said in the past, he wants to retire on a true retirement match on a loss. So take that as you will. There's no guarantee it's going to happen that way. That's the only thing that makes me a little bit leery about saying, well, this was for sure his retirement match.
Yes. But, regardless of if it's his last match or not, still a fantastic match. I feel a little bad for AJ. I could be a little biased here. I would have liked to have seen an AJ win. AJ, who, if you recall correctly, the guy doesn't have many Mania wins under his belt. So, hell, he lost his very first WrestleMania to Chris Jericho, which I still can't believe that was a thing. But So, I mean, I would have liked to have seen, as a guy who's been a lifelong fan of both of these men. I mean, I watched AJ from when he was in TNA, and Taker was my very first introduction to World Wrestling Entertainment. That was my first introduction into pro wrestling, was Undertaker and Kane. So, a lifelong Taker fan. So I don't lose in either respective for whoever wins this match, but I would have liked to have seen AJ come away with the victory here. But it doesn't hurt him, especially with the style of match that we got. Like I do think that had it been just a regular match, like just your average WWE style match, and then you had AJ lose and put Taker over, then I think that hurts AJ in the long run, because this is a guy that's known as like the best wrestler in the world. But then you have something like this, which this is just classic Undertaker, you know, the cinematography, the spooky stuff with the fire and everything. Like, yeah, so you can put Taker over in that style, and it doesn't hurt AJ at all. So, this did everything it needed to do. Definitely an amazing match, and what a great way to go out on night 2. That shot again of Taker riding off into the moonlight, that's the perfect way to end night 2. Yep. So that was great.
Two additional things about this match, then we can move on if you'd like to. First of all, the hand. I have to talk about the hand. So for those of you who don't know, this is a callback to the very first Buried Alive match. Undertaker was buried alive, and then you see his hand protrude through the dirt, which was the last image from that pay-per-view. But here's the funny thing. The hand itself was something that when they were building the set, they just found on the set. There was just a mannequin hand on the set. And Triple H was like, yeah, we got to figure out a way to use this. Like, this is pretty cool. Like, this is a sign. Like, we need to use this. And Taker's like, we could have it be a callback. And Triple H was like, holy shit, that's a great idea. And then additionally, somebody had mentioned the possibility of a Kane cameo in this. What would have been perfect would have been as he was riding out, just to see the cemetery sign say something like Knoxville County Cemetery.
Well, I thought when Taker, like, you know, put his hands in the air and the fire appeared behind AJ, I thought that's when Kane was going to pop up. Because at that point, it was 3-on-1. So I was like, you know, they got to have Taker get some help, right?
Yeah,
you know?
Of course. Brothers of Destruction.
Yeah, especially, you know, he was talking about, you know, the 3 stages of hell type thing. Which I would have loved when he said that. I would have loved if it had been like, you know, literal 3 stages, in the sense that you have to take Taker down 3 times. Like, this is what I thought they were going to do. I thought, like, AJ was going to get the upper hand on Undertaker, and each time he comes back, maybe you get, like, a different version of Taker. That, I think, would have been fantastic. Like, he starts off as the American Badass, gets knocked out, you know, the gong hits, and then he comes back maybe as, like, Ministry of Darkness, or, like, classic, you know, original Taker. Yep. Then the 3rd time, you can have him come back as the Phenom. So I definitely would have. It's a little bit more campy. It's a little more corny. I admit that, but it fits.
As soon as I heard the gong hit when AJ was on the tractor, I 100% expected him to pop up with the hat on his head.
Exactly. But that was great. But yeah, what a perfect way to end night 1 and transition into night 2. We had huge expectations going into the next night.
So hold on. To be fair, it's 2 nights, so match of the night for night 1.
I mean, I guess you're not wrong there. I didn't consider a match of the night for night 1, so you're kind of putting me on the spot. But I guess I would have to go again. The Boneyard match. It's not really a match, but if we're just talking about the best segment of the night, I mean, I got to go with the Boneyard match. That was, again, the perfect way to end the show. If we're talking about, like, I guess that, you know, your more traditional style match, then I'd maybe have to go with either the ladder match or the Becky Shayna match. I thought both of those matches were really good. But no, it's got to be the Boneyard match, right? Like, that was easily the best part of night 1.
So the only reason I'm not going to take the Boneyard match is because I feel like there were 2 matches that could be match of the night. I'm going to take the triple threat singles ladder match for the tag titles. While I think it was convoluted as all hell, it was a great match. And I think both of those deserve to be recognized because, I mean, let's be honest, the Boneyard match was more of a segment. But yeah, MVP for night one?
Oh, it's got to be The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Easily The Undertaker.
Okay, well, I'm glad we're in agreement on that. Now we can move to WrestleMania Part 2, also live from the Performance Center.
Not live. No. So while day one felt like it was doing this kind of crescendoing up to its climax at the end with The Undertaker and AJ match, night two started high, went down, went back high. Like, that was a roller coaster ride, guys. Night two. And I haven't even thought about which night I think is better yet, like, in totality yet, because you still got so much. But starting out, I mean, once you got to that middle portion of night two, I was just like, oh God, like, please don't do this. But I mean, in all fairness, the matches that we thought were going to be bad were the matches that were bad. Mm-hmm. So it's just that they were really bad. But let's get into this. So night two started off hot, the same way that night one starts off with a women's match. So we get Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley for the NXT Women's Championship. This was, again, fantastic. This match I thought was everything that it needed to be and more. You got obviously the veteran in Charlotte Flair just outclassing Rhea for the majority of the match. But you got the fighting spirit and the heart of Rhea Ripley down packed. You know, the way she just wouldn't give up. Constantly fighting back, talking her crap too, by the way. Like, these two were, again, so verbal throughout the whole match. Charlotte especially. I love the fact that at the very beginning of this match, she's delivering chops to Rhea, and she's like, I've been the Raw Women's Champion, I've been the SmackDown Women's Champion, I've been the NXT Champion before, and now I'm about to be the NXT Champion again. I'm taking your title. Like, just talking so much crap. And Rhea Ripley, like, at the beginning of this match, the way Charlotte was just talking down to her, disrespecting her the whole time, just going, oh, really, Charlotte? That's what we're doing? Really? Like, just pissed off with the fact that even at Mania, in their match, just getting no respect from the Queen. So this was fantastic. I love the way she turned this around, too, and the fact that she hits a riptide for a close fall out the gate, and it shut Charlotte up for a minute there. Like, and you have the commentators, point out the fact that should have kind of taken the confidence away from Rhea, because she hit her finishing move on Charlotte, and she kicked out. And they're like, oh, that should have taken the confidence away from Rhea. But no, Rhea instead used that as a way to fuel herself and just got even more fired up. And I love that the commentators acknowledged that fact, that no, it didn't discourage Rhea, but instead got her more, amped up. Like, oh, I can do this. Like, I can put away Charlotte. I hit her with one riptide. Probably just need another one to put it away. So this match was fantastic, storytelling-wise and in-ring action. I thought it was a really good job by both women. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was a fantastic match. I think Bell to Bell was a really good match. I just, same thing as the Becky match. I'm disappointed in the finish.
Yeah, so Charlotte wins this match clean, puts away Rhea with a figure 8. And here's the thing. You spent the entire match building up this, this idea that Rhea's not going to give up, that she's going to, continue to fight. Which, fun fact, by the way, and people on Twitter pointed this out, and the fact that Rhea's ring gear was Vegeta inspired, which, if you know anything about Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta gets his ass kicked all the time. So I guess we should have known going into this match that Rhea wasn't going to win. But no, you do this, the whole storyline of this match is, Rhea doesn't give up, she's a legitimate badass, she's not going to tap out. And then you have her tap to the figure 8. And I wasn't even sure that she was tapping when it first happened, because it looked like she was punching Charlotte's legs to get out of the figure 8, and then they called the match. And I don't know, I mean, that could just be me, but I was confused at the ending. I didn't think that she had tapped at first. I don't know if that's what you got from that.
Yeah, kind of at first it looked a little weird, but then it kind of looked like it morphed into tapping out.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But yeah, you have Rhea Ripley submit to Charlotte. I would have much rather preferred if you had Rhea just pass out. Have her just go out. The ref says, nope, that's it. She's done. If you're going to put Charlotte over, that's, I think, the way you should do it. You shouldn't have her go out in a submission by tapping out. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion, but
I'd agree. I would agree entirely with that.
But no, that they did go, they went the way of putting Charlotte over in that fashion. So Charlotte is now your NXT Women's Champion. And it's like I talked about on our weekend wrap-up video from last week. And it's even, a callback to what I said for the Becky match. And the fact that you look at, in that Becky match, what they talked about in the articles that I read was the fact that Vince McMahon had soured on Shayna Baszler and her gimmick. And it looked like they were putting all their marbles more towards Becky Lynch. And then you look at what happened with Charlotte. I mean, I talked about on that weekend wrap-up video last week, and the fact that that WWE and Vince McMahon were thinking that if you put the title on Charlotte Flair, they're thinking about what's the best way to push the NXT Women's Division. You put the title on someone who's established, who's as, taken seriously as someone like Charlotte Flair. Instantly the belt's given legitimacy. Not that it wasn't legitimate already, but even more so now with someone like Charlotte wearing the championship. It makes that belt way more important, in their eyes at least, and now you can do matches like, you can get a Ripley rematch. You can get matches like potentially Charlotte versus maybe Shayna for the NXT Championship. You can get Charlotte versus Bianca Belair, Charlotte versus Io Shirai versus Tegan Nox. I would love to see them build this up. Take your sweet time, and go to... Hell, you can go to next WrestleMania if it ends up being Tegan Nox versus Charlotte Flair for the NXT Championship.
The face of all baby faces.
Yeah.
The female John Cena.
The female John Cena taking down Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania for the NXT Championship. If you do that... The
female John Cena versus the female Ric Flair.
You do that, and I don't care.
Yep.
That makes it all worth it if that's where they're going to go with it, because that would be fantastic. And that's why...
The shiniest wizard into the 1, 2, 3, 80,000 people, 100,000 at this new stadium in LA, right?
Yeah.
Gonna erupt into just absolute raucous cheers behind the underdog, the Captain Marvel wearing Tegan Nox. That would be perfect.
And I mean... I think that's why I wasn't as upset as the rest of the internet at the result of this match. I mean, hell, I called the match, and even more so, of the women's matches, this is the one that if, they were going to put over one of the horsewomen, I wasn't going to be as upset if Rhea lost, because, again, I see the potential of where they could potentially go with the NXT Championship. I don't know where they're going to go with the Raw Women's Championship. I have no... And Lord help the SmackDown Women's Division, because I have no effing idea where that's going. But at least the NXT Women's picture it's not set, but it's in way better shape than Raw and SmackDown.
We didn't even think about the most important possible thing that could happen out of this. Charlotte v. Asuka 2. In NXT.
Well, that's,
Triple H in control.
Well, I mean, that's considering if Asuka goes to NXT. That's why I didn't think about it.
Not?
I mean, that's why I didn't think about it, because that's if, Asuka goes to NXT. So you'd have to take that into account. But I mean, again, we don't know what's going to happen with the Raw Women's Division. We don't know where Kairi and Asuka are going to go. So That is an option. That is something that they could do. I don't know if I'd want to see that match necessarily, in the fact that if Asuka wins, it's just kind of like, I mean, yeah, she gets her win back, but I don't know. Unless you build it up and you do it at Mania or something, but they wouldn't do that. They would just do it at a takeover or a regular pay-per-view, and I don't know. I don't want to see Charlotte lose and Asuka go over just at any old pay-per-view. Like, this needs to happen at, like, you know, a WrestleMania type show. If you're going to do Charlotte Asuka 2 for a championship, that's, I think, the way it needs to get done. But I don't think it would happen that way. It would just be, you know, a standard match, which I think is my issue with that.
We'll find out.
Yeah, but we move on now to one of the low points of the night, and that's Aleister Black versus Bob. So, the spooky son of Spooky Dad Undertaker, Mr. Aleister Black, he comes out, modified gear. He's got, like, devil horns coming out of his shoulder pads. He's all spookied up. And then you got Bob, who comes out. Lana's back, and
Bob's wearing pants.
He's wearing tights, yes. So, which I noted, I thought he looked like a badass in the tights. I think he needs to wear tights more often. The trunks, I don't know, just it doesn't do it. I think, especially the tights he was wearing, like the black and gray. I thought that was dope. So I like that gear a lot better than what his standard gear is. But, you know, they do all this. They come all out. And this match didn't have a WrestleMania feel to it. This just felt like a regular Monday Night Raw match.
It felt like a pre-show match.
Yeah, it felt like a Raw match, if you ask me. Like, it was just like, what are these two fighting over? Who cares? Why is Lana on my TV still? So, this match wasn't long. It was fast. Bob was pretty much dominating Aleister from the get-go. And then the stupidest, dumbest thing. Like, there was this, I tweeted out immediately, I was like, well, that was stupid. And the fact that Bob has his match run. He's about to connect with the Dominator. And then Lana goes, no, spear. And then Bob's looking at her like, what? Oh, yeah, okay, spear. So then he, like, tosses Aleister, sets up in the corner. He's like, yeah, I'm going to win this with a spear.
Black mass.
Black mass for the 1, 2, 3. Aleister gets the victory. Bob is upset at Lana. He's like, the hell? Which, if anything, be more angry at yourself for listening to her. Why are you listening to Lana for anything regarded to wrestling?
And this clinched that I would at least tie you for the win.
Yeah. So I just thought the ending was dumb. If you're gonna put Aleister over, at least have him look strong in doing so instead of just This is like, again, when you had Aleister beat AJ cause Taker interference. So far, you know what you've done? You've established that Aleister can't win big matches when it counts, because he has to have something go in his favor in order to win every match. In order to beat AJ, he had to have Taker interfere. In order to win this match, he had to have the stupidity of Bob and Lana come into play in order for him to get the victory. So, as far as I'm concerned, Aleister's in the exact same place he was a month ago. And the fact that I don't care. I don't think you've built him in any sense. If you're going to build him and you're going to put him in a match like this, he needs to go over. Like, actually put him over. Don't just have him squeak out with a victory,
right,
on account of some BS. So I don't think this match does anything for anybody. It certainly doesn't do anything for Bob. I feel so bad for Bobby Lashley in all seriousness. I mean, what has been his second second stint in WWE? What has he done? He's literally done nothing. He's accomplished nothing. This whole return
Didn't he win the IC title or something like that?
Who cares? This whole stint's just been a waste of time, in my opinion. He was doing better in TNA. This man was a world champion in TNA, on top of the world, and then he goes into WWE and the man can't buy a win. Like,
yep.
I was expecting, we were all thinking, Brock Lesnar matches, big matches, like matches that matter, matches against Roman Reigns, stuff like that. And it's just been disappointment after disappointment. And Aleister's main roster run is a joke. Honestly, he needs a return to NXT, because I don't care about main roster Aleister Black at all. They obviously don't get the gimmick, and they don't get the character. So if you're not going to use him properly, then just get rid of him. You don't know what you're doing with Aleister Black on Monday Night Raw. So that's my takeaway from this. But we move on now to the highest of highs for not just night 2, but for the entire pay-per-view. That is Otis versus Dolph Ziggler.
And we're not kidding.
No. Being fully serious here.
This match was all right.
Yeah, it was, I mean, Sonya.
Dolph Ziggler, comes out with Sonya Deville at his side. And, I mean, it was a good match.
It was alright.
Sonya Deville interferes. She
kicks him in the bollocks.
She gets the attention of the referee so that Dolph Ziggler can hit him in the bollocks. And then Mandy comes down to the ring, and she hits Dolph Ziggler square in les testicles.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, it's Otis's match. He hits the caterpillar for the 1, 2, 3, celebrates in the middle of the ring with his girl, picks her up in his arms, kisses her and carries her away. Love is still alive. Love is not dead. The gods look down upon us on this day, and every man over 200 pounds went, yes, we have a chance.
So this was great. It was nice to see Otis get that Mania moment, and not only that, but finally get the girl, finally get Mandy Rose. I'm interested to see where they go from here. I'm interested to see. Hopefully, this is the end of the Sonya Dolph duo, and we don't just get more tandem tag matches on SmackDown.
I don't need intergender tag matches.
No.
Well, especially because it's mixed tag in WWE. I'd take an intergender tag match. That'd be fun. I'd love to watch Sonya Deville go to work against Otis. But
yikes.
I don't know. I just I think the important thing here is that Otis goes back to his thing with Take. And
I need to see Mandy versus Sonya.
One-on-one with Sonya. Yep.
Yeah, I need to see that. Just that needs to be the primary focus going forward. Is what.
And Dolph Ziggler can go back to wherever he was before.
Dolph can feud with the Hacker, whoever it's going to get revealed to be, because they still haven't resolved that storyline. So
that is true.
That's probably going to be what going for it where they go. Is Dolph's going to be furious at this Hacker, and then. Well, by the way, I haven't talked about this and this fact that JBL returned to commentary for WrestleMania, and he was honestly the best commentator of both nights. He was fantastic.
Good on you, John. And you know what? Michael Cole sounded pretty good.
Him and John worked very well together.
But yeah, Michael Cole sounded really good. I mean, he wasn't quite like when he was on commentary with Taz, but he has years of chemistry with JBL. He had nobody to break up that chemistry. No third person like a Byron or something.
That was the big thing too, is that it was commentator duos for the entire night. You didn't have that awkward third man interjecting themselves. No, it was just Michael Cole and John Bradshaw Layfield, and these two work so well off each other. The way like they kind of like bicker in between matches. JBL would make snide remarks, and then Michael Cole would kind of jab back at him.
Yeah,
like it was
jabs at JBL. I was really proud of the way that he handled it, and of course, Corey Graves was nowhere to be found. He was on the pre-show. He was back in the studio.
Graves, you were surely missed on commentary. I would have much rather had you than Byron. I can't believe they gave a WrestleMania spot to Byron friggin' Saxton. By the way, Tom and Byron can we both agree that was all, they were awful the entire show. They were just really bad.
After seeing it, because remember, we were all excited about them to bring Tom Phillips up to the main roster. Tom Phillips just can't work with anyone not named Corey Graves.
Well, I mean, give the man the fact that the only person we've seen him work with is Byron or Jerry Lawler. That's not much to work with. So,
Fair.
I would love to see, Tom work with, not even just Corey Graves, but to work with, JBL. Like, I'd love to see that tandem go, I mean, I think actually we did see it a little bit on SmackDown at one point. So I think it works fine. They were not good this weekend. Tom was not good this weekend. JBL and Michael Cole, you guys were the commentator duo of the weekend. Congratulations. I talked to Nick about this too. I would love to see JBL return to commentary, him and Michael Cole. If that means getting rid of Byron on Raw, put Corey Graves on Raw with Tom, and then put JBL on SmackDown with Michael Cole. That needs to be your commentator. And then Jerry Lawler can just go away, go bye-bye. Like, we don't need Lawler.
If you feel like you need to put Byron somewhere, put him with Cole and JBL. Those three were a very good trio together because JBL put him in his place.
Yes. Well, JBL puts everybody in their place.
Exactly. But when you have somebody like Byron who... Byron. Poor kid.
I would love to see Byron be on commentary when his role is not the punching bag of the group. Like, I'd love to see him do a different character and actually, maybe actually be a commentator or something instead of just punching bag. Because I've never liked that type of announcer. I don't know, maybe it's just a bias.
This is like Cole when he was on commentary with Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
That's what you get from Byron. He's the punching bag of the situation. He's overly excited all the time.
Yes.
Not that I don't miss Michael Cole being overly excited, because by God.
Your take bland, electric Michael Cole over Michael Cole actually giving a damn. I think me and you are a little on opposite sides there. I'll definitely take enthusiastic Michael Cole.
Yeah, I just said not that I'm opposed to.
Yeah, I'll definitely take enthusiastic Michael Cole over Michael Cole just wondering, when do we go to commercial break because I'm bored. So, yeah. Next we get a match that should have been way better than it was, and I get that it's Edge's, return match, minus the Rumble, of course, but I get it. Like, this, you got a lot to work with here, but this match was so long. It was so long.
Yeah, that's my only qualm with the match, to be honest with you. I was happy with the way it went. I was happy with the spots that they were able to pull out. The fact that it was not a traditional style wrestling match, that these guys were absolutely just brawling. I was very happy with that.
So this was Edge versus Randy Orton in a last man standing match. But it felt like it was Edge versus Randy Orton in a walk to the next spot match, because that's pretty much what this match was like the majority of the time. It was just them. It was like a tour of the Performance Center match. That's what this match was. Because, I mean, fair point. I mean, they went everywhere. They went all around the Performance Center, which I appreciate. I appreciate them not just staying in one spot, doing stage transitions and going from one area to the other. I like that. At the same time, though, God, did this match just drag and drag and drag. I mean, it got to the point where I was like, this is great and everything, but can we wrap it up, boys? Like, can we get to the end here? But, I mean, minus that, my excitement for seeing Edge compete in a match at WrestleMania 9 years after he retired was what got me through the slug of the pacing of this match, because it's definitely hard to get through, but you can't forget about the fact that what you're witnessing you shouldn't even be seeing. Like, we should not be seeing Edge compete in a match, let alone a last man standing match. So this was, from that perspective, it makes it a little bit easier to stomach, but there was a lot in this match. Edge comes out and he's waiting on Randy Orton to come out. All of a sudden, he gets RKO'd from behind. We find out that Randy was dressed as a cameraman, puts the camera down, slides in the ring, and RKO's Edge when he wasn't looking. So, don't know how that, I guess the biggest thing we learned here is that apparently Randy has knows how to work a camera.
Yeah.
And no one questioned where their missing cameraman went that entire time. Which, by the way, this was not a fake camera. This was a fully functioning, working WWE camera because they did a view from said camera laid on the ground when these two were fighting on the outside of the ring. So, yeah, at one point, Randy Orton was operating a WWE camera. So, don't know how that worked out, but, we're just kind of, do a magic wave over that and, pretend that didn't happen. But, these two start fighting. Randy hits Edge with another RKO. They then brawl out to the gym. Randy picks up a weight plate, and Edge kicks him in the face while Randy's holding the plate, so he kind of gets smacked in the face with the plate. We saw something that was that thing kind of popped up. Sorry. We then saw, which I thought was kind of cool, was Edge kind of hops up on one of the I don't even know what to call that. Like he was doing like pull-ups, one of the pull-up things.
Pull-up rack.
Yeah, and then uses that to do what was it, like a I don't even remember what it was.
Swinging seated senton.
Yeah, swinging seated senton to Randy Orton, who was draped over, just like I can't even remember what it was. They're just like there's so much random. Yeah, just like so much random stuff in this gym. I don't remember if this was the same gym that Ciampa and Gargano brought over, but if it was, then I like the fact that you saw where the glass, like the mirrors used to be. They have now been replaced by one big steel grating. So that's kind of interesting, which one of my biggest pet peeves with this was how many things are steel in the Performance Center.
And the steel table, the steel door. I would not want to try their lunch there. It's probably steel mac and cheese.
Yeah, so this is where things get a little corny, that's where things get a little corny, is the fact that everything apparently in the Performance Center is steel. They start to fight backstage. At one point, Edge gets thrown off the LED stage, and he lands neck first on the barricade, so that was kind of brutal. Then they fight into the office area, and apparently, that giant desk where they have their meetings at, the whole thing's just made of metal. It's all steel. Why? God knows, but... And then not only that, but the lights above the office, there's like steel cage thing hanging from the ceiling.
It looked like the netting you crawl under in our army boot camp training.
Yeah, except
was just hanging on the ceiling.
Yeah, except steel. So at one point, Edge climbs I'm just gonna call them steel cage lights, and then hits an elbow drop on Randy, who's prone across the steel desk. And yes, I'm emphasizing all this because that's exactly what Tom Phillips was doing. Oh my God, under the steel desk from the steel cage. Just, my goodness. Then at one point, the cameraman who's been following them from area to area gets knocked down. So then we get a cool spot where you see the next cameraman come sprinting to find Edge and Randy, who have now started brawling in the storage area of the Performance Center. My
favorite location.
Yes. So we get at one point, Edge kind of climbs to the top of the storage cage and drives an elbow through Randy Orton through a table. We then see Edge and Randy Orton start to brawl by this truck. Randy throws Edge on top of the bed on the back, the bed cover, and Randy delivers a draping DDT off the top of the truck to the bed frame in the back. So at that was brutal.
Yes.
Like you heard Edge's head smack off the back of the truck there.
And it was right around this time we got my favorite cameo of WrestleMania. Jeff Hardy's ladder.
Yeah, that's where you see this massive 50-foot ladder sitting next to Edge and Randy in the back, and I was afraid somebody was going to use that.
Me effing too.
But no, what they actually do is they decide to climb a semi-truck.
Yep, out of the trailer.
Yep, which, by the way, the referee and the cameraman follow them up there, which I just thought was a little ridiculous. But, yeah, you got the ref and the cameraman up there. Edge hits a spear on Randy. They both land still on top of the semi. Then Randy hits an RKO and starts to go for a concerto on Edge. And it's at this point that you have the referee going, no, Randy, don't do this. No. He has a family. No. Which, by the way, side note, I loved hearing Randy just talk crap to the ref.
Oh, yeah.
The whole match. He's just like,
what, are you going to start the count or no?
That's a count, right? Well, at one point where when he hits the draping DDT on Edge, and he's like, you don't count. You count when I tell you to. But no, he goes for the concerto, but Edge then catches him in this like weird submission. Same one that he used on MVP a little while back. So Randy goes night-night. And then at this point, the ref starts the count. Edge looks at the ref and goes, don't you effing count. He said the word, so they censored him out. He's like, don't you effing count. And then at this point, you kind of see Edge's acting chops come into play here. He starts to cry. Like, you see tears come down the face of Edge as he's looking at Randy. He's got Randy's head on the chair. He's got a chair in hand. He's about to deliver a concerto to Randy Orton. And you can see all the emotion just all over his face. And then he does it. He hits the concerto to Randy. That's it. Match is over. Edge is victorious. So, very emotional match. Very long match. My God, this is match long. But I think it was worth it to get to that last part of the match. That scene of Edge on top of the truck looking down at Randy. I thought that was perfect.
Absolutely. I thought this match could not have gone any better than it did, especially given the circumstances, there being no crowd, and the fact that, Edge has been retired for 9 years, so.
Yes. I loved the storytelling, and that's what happens when you have two really masters of the business going at each other. Edge has always been an in-ring psychology master when it comes to that stuff. And then love or hate Randy Orton for his methodical in-ring style, but dude's damn good at what he does. I mean, we poke fun at him, but he's still amazing in the ring. And he's great for stuff like this. This was fantastic. But going forward, we see Mojo Rawley running from, your standard 24/7 title crowd, chasing him throughout the Performance Center. And they trap Mojo, like they're all surrounding him. They're trying to beat him down. Gronk jumps from the perch and pins Mojo Rawley. And now the Gronk is your 24/7 champion.
Okie dokie then.
Yep.
I guess.
Yep.
Next.
Yep. So next we get Austin Theory and Angel Garza versus the Street Profits. So it didn't get better. This is this is another low of the pay-per-view. And this, especially watching this after watching the Edge and Randy Orton match, and especially with how long that match was too, we definitely needed something not like this coming out of that match. I think we needed something a little bit more fast-paced, a little bit more, action-filled to get us through. But which, fair point, there was a lot of flippy stuff in this match. You got Montez Ford, Angel Garza, and Austin Theory, so there's gonna be flippy stuff. Montez Ford, I see that back is treating him well because he hits a tope con hero early on in this match. We also see Angel Garza hit a moonsault to the outside, and then he also hits a second rope moonsault to Montez Ford. That resulted in a near fall there. I'm just going to kind of go through this match like really quickly. Montez Ford hits a frog splash on Austin Theory after Austin hit the TKO on Angelo Dawkins. So that leads to Dawkins getting the pinfall for the Street Profits victory. So it's exactly what we thought was going to happen. Street Profits do come away with the victory. But it's what happened after the match that matters, and the fact that they attack the Street Profits. They're beating them down. You even see Zelina Vega get involved a little bit here. She super kicks Montez Ford. And then who would come out but Bianca Belair? The EST of NXT makes her Mania appearance. First time ever. She gets her Mania moment. She comes out and beats down Zelina Vega. And her and the Street Profits stand tall after this match. So that was really nice to see Bianca appear at WrestleMania. I was glad to see her. I'm
excited to see where this angle leads too, because a lot of people are thinking that this is going to lead to a long-term team up or a long-term trio with the Street Profits and Bianca Belair, and I'm all behind that.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see. No, I don't need to see another 3-man like. Because, it's going to end up being whatever stable Zelina Vega is heading up versus the stable of the Street Profits of Bianca. First of all, I don't want to see that for how boring that's going to be. Second, I don't want to see Bianca Belair get reduced to partner of Street Profits. I think as someone who has the potential of Bianca Belair, she should be competing for championships, not in random matches on Raw with the Street Profits against the Zelina Vega stable. So no, that doesn't need to happen at all. So then we find out that apparently Titus O'Neil is the new host of WrestleMania since the Gronk has taken his title and vacated the Performance Center. So, and that's the last we see of Gronk, by the way, for the rest of WrestleMania. So that means long term, going forward, Gronk is going to be your 24/7 champion. That means we have not seen the last of Robert Gronkowski. And I really wish we had. But
am I the only one who is very excited to see Titus O'Neil?
Of the two of us, yeah, probably.
Titus so much. And not just the goofy sliding under the ring thing.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's cool to see Titus. I mean, he didn't really do anything, so cool. But we now get the 5-way women's elimination match for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and boy, was this not good. It's just
hard to watch.
Yeah, it's at this point where you can pretty much say that night 1 had the advantage on night 2 for WrestleMania. Because, my God, you got bad after bad going back and forth on night 2. So, for those of you that don't know, this match had Tamina, Lacey Evans, Naomi, Bayley, and Sasha Banks. Those were the 5 competitors in this match. So the storyline here, obviously, is that Sasha and Bayley are going to work together. But the overhanging storyline is that a lot of people, including myself, are like, okay, Sasha is going to turn on Bayley. That's what we're all kind of anticipating going into this match. But the way this match starts is that
the smaller tertiary storyline has been the Lacey Evans feuding with Bayley and Sasha the last couple months.
Yeah, so what happens is the way this match starts is all 4 women look at Tamina, and obviously their ultimate goal is get Tamina out. Then after that happens, you then get the duo of Lacey and Naomi taking on Sasha Banks and Bayley. And for the rest of this match, it's essentially just Sasha and Bayley just beating down on everybody, talking crap throughout the match. I love Bayley's so angry. She's even talking crap to the commentary team. At one point, Michael Cole goes, well, we almost saw Sasha and Bayley get eliminated at the same time. And Bayley goes, no, we didn't. So I thought that was funny. And then we got what I thought was the coolest part of the match, which maybe it's just because I remember that that time period when the Women's Revolution was first starting out, when you had all the different stables.
Team
But you got a
Bad.
Team Bad callback, which was Tamina, Naomi, and Sasha Banks. I loved that. I popped for that because I thought that was cool.
That was cool.
That was when the Women's Revolution was first starting, and you had all these stables, and you had so much
Team
hope.
PCB.
Yeah, you had so much hope for where the women's division was going to go. It's kind of like the new Star Wars trilogy with Episode 7. Where are we going to go? We have such a bright future.
And then Ryan Johnson takes the reins.
Yeah, and then we all know where that went. So it's kind of similar, and there's definitely similarities there between those two things.
Yep.
But that was cool. We then saw the spot where our 4 women pile on Tamina to eliminate Tamina. Then it goes back to the Lacey and Naomi versus Sasha and Bayley spot. We get a bank statement to eliminate Naomi. Then we get Sasha. We get Sasha, and Bayley now versus Lacey Evans, 2-on-1. And at one point, Bayley accidentally hits Sasha with a knee, sending her flying out of the ring. And that's important because at this point now it's Lacey versus Bayley. They're fighting back and forth. And then Sasha gets back in the ring, and she's furious. She's like, what the heck? Like, why? What's your problem? Why are you doing this? And Bayley's pleading with her, like, I'm sorry, it was an accident. Like, we can do this later, but we gotta put away Lacey. We gotta end this match. Lacey goes to hit Sasha with a women's right. Bayley pushes her out the way, and then she does, though, eventually end up connecting with a women's right on Sasha Banks, who gets put away, gets eliminated. So, which, by the way, they point out the fact that Bayley watched Sasha get eliminated, but did not go to help Sasha, didn't break up the pin. Now, JD from New York, by the way, shout out to JD on fellow wrestling YouTuber, pointed out the fact that it's actually, I didn't like this. I thought this was kind of goofy, especially where we go forward following this, and the fact that you have Bayley versus Lacey Evans. They kind of go back and forth. And then at the end of the match, where it looked like Lacey was actually going to beat Bayley, finally get over the hump, become new SmackDown Women's Champion, finally. No, they have Sasha come back out. She interferes, and Bayley ends up winning the match. I was very confused by this. I was angry because, again, you didn't see someone new get put over in the women's division. And I was confused because why would Sasha help Bayley after what happened earlier in the match? But then JD pointed out the fact that they booked this smart because Sasha didn't know that Bayley didn't go
that
to
Bayley
help
was
her.
Even conscious at that moment. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's smart from that perspective, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. I don't like that they had to have Sasha come out and help Bayley to retain her championship. I don't like that this is still going to go on, that you're still going to have the tandem duo of Sasha and Bayley still, holding on to the SmackDown Women's Championship. And you failed after this match. That's the last women's match. So it's official that you failed to push a single new women's star on your roster.
Yep.
You had the 4 horsewomen
Bianca
go
Belair.
over. Yeah, I guess you pushed Bianca, but yeah, you didn't. The 4 horsewomen are victorious at Mania. You didn't build a single new star.
Hey now, Liv Morgan beat Natalya in a pre-show match.
So yeah, you didn't build a single new star at WrestleMania at all. You didn't put Shayna over, you didn't put Rhea over, and you didn't put Lacey Evans over. So, status quo. Back to the way things are. The horsewomen are still on top of the women's division. Which, if you don't want to put Lacey over, I guess that's fine. But it's like, then, why do we need to see more Bayley as SmackDown Women's Champion? Like, they've been pushing this idea that she's the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion of all time, but it's been one of the most pathetic, underwhelming reigns we've ever seen. Nobody cares about Bayley as a Women's Champion. Her gimmick is stale as a heel. Like, she's not a good heel. Like, it's run dry. No one cares about Bayley. Everybody wants to see her best friend turn on her. Sasha is more over as the backup than Bayley is as the champion. Like, nobody cares about Bayley. And not to mention, again, my God, can you disrespect Sasha anymore? I talked about it earlier, but she's now 0-5 at WrestleMania. Which, that's a shame. For anyone that wants to sit there and talk about how Sasha Banks is overpushed, I mean, she's had a few championship reigns. All of them were like a week or two long, and she's never won a match at WrestleMania. So of the 4 horsewomen, she's definitely the least pushed of all of them. It's like, Can she get a little respect? I don't like this. Nothing about this spells good for the future of the SmackDown Women's Division or the Women's Division as a whole. The only brand that comes out of this again on top is NXT.
I think I could agree with you on that. I think, it depends on where we go from here. It depends on what we do going forward. But in regards to just WrestleMania as a whole, the women's division doesn't get any stronger in any way, shape, or form.
Well, you mean you're talking about like in regards to all the matches?
Oh yeah, all of them.
You would, including the Charlotte one? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't believe that makes the NXT women's division stronger because now, who beat Charlotte other than somebody who's not on NXT? Because Rhea has put away everyone who's come in her path.
I would disagree with that. Again, I think you could have Io Shirai fight Charlotte and go over. Io is a very legitimate competitor. I think you could have the rematch of Bianca Belair against Charlotte Flair. Hell, if you wanted to even flip-flop and go back to Rhea Ripley, which I wouldn't do that personally, but you never put it past WWE to do something like that. You could also even... Shayna isn't technically a Raw superstar, so you could still have Shayna Baszler come back. So it's not like you're devoid of options for who fights Charlotte. So I don't agree with the fact that no one on the NXT roster could beat Charlotte. I don't know. I think you've got the NXT roster is definitely in a better place than either of the two main brands in terms of talent and who you actually care about competing. So I think if anything, it makes for a better challenge for Charlotte because do you think Charlotte's going to lose to someone like, I don't know, Natalya? No. Do you think she's not going to obviously fight Becky because women's champion? She's not going to fight Bayley because women's champion. The only person that she could maybe fight the only person she could fight is Sasha Banks on the main roster. But they've proven at this point that she's not going over any big matches anytime soon. So I think you're right where you need to be. I think you've got Charlotte now. She's lined up a host of competitors to challenge for a championship that's going to keep us entertained. At least, at the bare minimum, at least for the next 3 or 4 months. We got to see how this whole COVID-19 thing plays out. If we even get takeovers going forward, but if things go back to normal soon and we actually go back to the standard takeover format, then there are 4 or 5 takeovers per year. So then this at least entertains us through 1 or 2 takeovers, and that's 4 or 5 months. So we've got a while that they could build this and they could do a lot with this. So I disagree with you on that point. I think the NXT Women's Division is very strong coming out of this compared to the other 2 brands. I think they have a better.
I think the only thing is it would be stronger had Charlotte lost. I think nothing makes the brand and your champion look stronger than defending it against somebody who's an outsider.
I could agree with you on that point. Definitely if you asked me who I wanted to win this match, again, I said I would have preferred.
Of course, Rhea.
I would have preferred Rhea go over. But I don't look at it. I don't see, and I said this before, I don't see Rhea losing as bad as someone like Shayna losing because you didn't push Rhea as this unbeatable, unstoppable monster. Like, I mean, even though she's won a lot of matches,
and she's beaten just about everybody.
Yeah, but it's not like it's never been like squash, unstoppable. Like she's looked beatable in every match.
Goes on 4 or 5-star classics with people like Toni Storm and I mean,
even in her match against Bianca Belair, she looked like she could have lost that match. I thought she was losing that match, so we could have. You definitely like she's not this like I can't lose like Shayna, where her whole character is dependent on her looking unstoppable. That's not Rhea's character. Like I don't think Rhea is hurt from this because she can still come back.
No, I don't think she's hurt by this. I think the NXT women's division would be stronger if she was still champion. That's all I have to say.
No, and I can definitely, I may not agree with it, but I can definitely see your point in that regard that, I mean, you would definitely want, I mean, if you're NXT, I mean, yeah, your golden scenario is that your champion retains. And I'm sure that was a back and forth between Vince and Trips for weeks now about who was going to win this match. I guarantee you Triple H probably wanted Rhea Ripley to go over more than anything, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. But going forward, we now have, in my opinion, personally, one of the top 2 best segments, I guess you call it, of WrestleMania weekend. Again, you can't really call it a match, just like you can't call the Boneyard match a match. But John Cena versus Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse. Excuse me. My God. You did it. WWE, you made me care about John Cena versus Bray Wyatt, and you did it in every way that it needed to be done. I mean, from the jokes to the callbacks. This was a John Cena, this is your life segment almost, because... I mean, my God. So, this match starts. John Cena gets teleported to the Funhouse. And you have Ramblin' Rabbit point to the door and says, Bray went that way, dude. Be careful, dude. So, John Cena walks out of the Funhouse. And Bray Wyatt redoes the debut of John Cena on the main roster. So, in this scenario, Bray Wyatt is the Kurt Angle. John Cena comes out. He's got the trunks, the shorts again. You know, he's got the hair and everything. He comes out, and Bray Wyatt redoes everything. Like, he says the same lines Kurt does. And then John Cena, of course, reliving history, ruthless aggression. Goes for the punch. Bray Wyatt just ducks. He's like, what was that, John? And then John again goes for it. Ruthless aggression. Swing and a miss. You have Bray Wyatt, who, this is a shot at John for Nikki Bella, says, you can look but you can't touch. Obviously the theme song of the Bellas. Takes another swing. Ruthless aggression. Nope, completely misses. And Bray's just like, dude, this is just sad. Come on, John. We then get now a main event kind of redo. And then you have Bray Wyatt cutting a promo talking about muscles, all muscles with no talent. Brings out his man, John S. Cena. So Cena comes out and he cuts this like almost like Macho Man style promo. And he's like lifting the weights and he gets more furious and faster every second. Then after that, he can't use his arms. He's like confused, like, what happened? I can't use my arms. Then they transition to the next segment, and now he's Word Life Cena. He's the doctor of thugonomics. So he can only speak in rap.
In rhymes.
Yeah. He at one point he says Bray Wyatt is a slut for the business. I forget what the exact line was. I don't know if you recall.
No.
But it was a dagger to Bray Wyatt. And then Bray cuts this like scheming promo on John Cena, like cutting him down, talks about how Cena, took everything from him, took his moment. He then hits Cena in the back of the head with Cena's chain. And then we see Bray Wyatt has returned to his original gimmick. He's got the Hawaiian t-shirt, the straw hat, sitting in the rocking chair. Talks about how he was on top of the world. He had the whole world in his hands. At WrestleMania, in the original match against John Cena, the crowd was calling for it. They wanted it, John. You know what you had to do, but you couldn't get past your ego. But now you've got your chance, John. Redo the wrong. Right history. Come on, John, do it. John, at this point, is holding a steel chair. Bray screaming, do it, John. Fix it. John swings. Bray Wyatt disappears. And now we've been teleported to WCW Monday Night Nitro. Bray Wyatt is now Eric Bischoff. And John Cena is the New World Order Hulk Hogan. He comes out, he's playing the guitar on the belt. You have Vince McMahon, the puppet of Vince McMahon, on commentary.
Mr. McBossman.
Mr. McBossman, who goes, "It's such good shit." At this point, I'm just dying. Like, I'm laughing my ass off watching this whole thing. This was incredible. But then the Fiend ends up in the ring, hits the mandible claw on John Cena, followed by the Sister Abigail. He then hits one last mandible claw, choking the life from John Cena. And then Cena disappears. He's teleported out of the ring. Bray Wyatt's declared the winner. They get the pinfall on John, and that's it. That's the match. So, your thoughts on the Firefly Funhouse?
It was fun. It was cool. It was goofy. It had a little bit of everything that I wanted. There was a lot of wrestling history, which was very cool. Bray is a fantastic actor, as is John Cena. We already knew that about John, though. So this was really cool. Selfishly, I wanted to see a little bit more wrestling because I miss John Cena in the ring so much. But, I thought this was everything it needed to be.
Our guy, Adam Blampier, who's another wrestling YouTuber, called this a love letter to the wrestling business and the wrestling fan. Because there was just so much that if you haven't been invested in the wrestling, that you wouldn't understand any of this. But everything, every single part of this entire segment was just filled with callbacks and spots that filled the wrestling industry throughout the last, 50 years? I mean, my God, it was just, there was so many things just, and I think that's the perfect way to describe it. It was a love letter to the wrestling fan and the wrestling business. This showed that WWE gets it, and finally, I hope, at least they get the Fiend character. They get what Bray Wyatt's supposed to be. They did the right thing. They had John Cena lose, and they weren't afraid to make fun of themselves. John Cena, we know, isn't afraid to make fun of himself. But even seeing the Mr. McBossman thing with Vince McMahon saying the "this is good shit" thing, which is funny because that came from John Moxley, by the way.
That came from an AEW guy.
Yeah, so that just shows, they're not afraid to make fun of themselves. And they understood what this needed to be. They understand where the fans' mindset was going into this match. And this was everything that it needed to be. This match, in my opinion, over-delivered on what we thought was going to be just another, either a really bad in-ring match, or whatever the hell the match was between Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton.
Randy Orton?
Yeah, I don't even remember what it was called. House of Horrors match that was just overly scripted WWE garbage. No, that's not what we got. We got a masterpiece. And by the way, this segment was written by a different guy than the guy that booked the Boneyard match. So whoever you got to do this match and the guy that did the Boneyard match, they need to be doing stuff from now on your creative teams for Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. Where have they been? Why have they not been involved?
Well, one of them's been in TNA. We know that.
Yeah. Or if they have been involved, why haven't you been having them do more like this? Because my God, this doesn't just need to be. I don't want to see when things go back to normal and we're doing regular episodes of Raw and SmackDown. I don't want to see things just go back to status quo. I would love to see stuff like this more often because I'm sorry, no company does this stuff like this better than WWE. Like the production value for WWE promos, the quality, the script, the writing, like no company does stuff like this better ever. Like no company's ever done stuff like this better than WWE. They're always the tip of the top when it comes to doing stuff like promo work and stuff like this. So I think this is where you thrive, WWE. You've got the stuff like the campiness and the corniness down packed. Do goofy stuff like this. I promise you, you're pushing the industry forward by having more segments like this on your shows. I mean, especially with characters like Bray Wyatt, like Aleister Black, who you have done nothing with on Monday Night Raw. That's a character who needs more segments like this.
And this is the fan in me. I love everything that happened at WrestleMania. The cinematography style, the cinematic style match was great for 2 matches. But somebody on Twitter said it best. Those 2 matches make me only want to see Damascus versus Jericho so much more in some kind of Hardy compound match.
I mean, if that's what you get from it, then I mean, I guess I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, because the cinematic style match started with Matt Hardy, and it started in Impact Wrestling, and it was done so well. And then they brought it over to WWE, had a different guy write the script, and it wasn't done quite as well. And then, they run the 2 in WWE, one with the guy from Impact and one with another guy, and both of them were done particularly well. So, I mean, to see 3 out of the 4 cinematic matches be received so well, and the 4th one not be received poorly, it's like, I can't wait to see where that goes going forward. But the master of the cinematic match, and even guys from WWE were referencing this, is without Matt Hardy, there is no cinematic match.
Well, I guess I look at this differently from you in the fact that I think, in regards to at least to the Taker match, and the fact that we've seen Taker do stuff like this, though, throughout his entire career. It may not have been necessarily like, you can't call it the cinematic match, I guess, but we've seen, for God's sakes, his entire career, him do promos where he's like chasing people around buildings and doing the spooky stuff and lightning and teleportation and all that stuff. So, yeah. I mean, that for Undertaker, like, that's something that's not new at all. So to see a match like that filmed the way it was, like, I think that just for me, that was like, oh my God, that was peak Undertaker. That was the best that we could have gotten out of Taker in 2020. And then even with the Bray Wyatt thing, again, I mean, yeah, you credit to Matt Hardy with the cinematic style, but that's what Bray Wyatt should have been going, like, out the gate. It should have been matches like that. It should have been the style. I mean, again, they tried to do it with the House of Horrors match before, and it was really bad. But the fact that that's because before they just really didn't understand the character, and I think now they're finally grasping the idea with this whole the entire Fiend character minus the loss to Goldberg has been written fantastically. Like, yes. And that's mainly because you've given so much creative control finally to Bray Wyatt and allowed him to have control over what his character is and how his character is fleshed out on screen. So if what I don't take from this, I just like, yeah, I mean, again, I think the Chris Jericho Matt Hardy match, it's going to be amazing. Whatever they do with it, it's going to be great. But I look at this as like, finally you're seeing Bray Wyatt where he needs to be. Finally, not finally, but you're seeing peak Undertaker. You're seeing the Dead Man, the American Badass, whatever you want to call him. You're seeing the Undertaker at the highest of heights, finally back to where he needs to be. That's why I take from this is that you're seeing what you need to do. Like, you're not going to see matches like this with people like, I don't know, like Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. Like, you're not going to get a match style like that, people like that. But I don't want to see that. I want to see matches like The Undertaker, like Bray Wyatt, people whose characters fully resolves. Yeah, I mean, if he ever goes back to the Demon, Finn Balor, yeah. Like, I want to see characters like this be fully involved in storylines like this. That's what I take away from this, is the possibilities going forward, hopefully, fingers crossed, in WWE. That's, I think, my biggest takeaway from this.
Mm-hmm. And then just another shout out. I mean, obviously, the father of the cinematic match, if you want to call it that, but additionally to Matt Hardy for his tweet to Bray Wyatt, congratulations, my compeer, on your win in such a beautiful match. So the weird bond that those two share, it has superseded the tag team that they had. I think it's really cool. In fact, I would guess that Matt Hardy had some kind of influence in Bray's Fiend character, not so much the character itself, but like, dude, just tap into it, go all out. Like, when they give you a script that looks stupid, take it to the next level, make it more silly, make it off the wall.
Yeah, I would definitely think that Matt has at least helped positively influence Bray's career going forward. I don't know if I would put all the credit on Matt, because I think Bray's definitely...
Bray's a fantastic competitor, and he's always been very good at getting involved in his character.
I mean, I think especially if you look at, I mean, Bray's, I think, said it himself too. I mean, his original inspiration is The Undertaker. I mean, that's the guy who he kind of based his whole original character around. So I think having that inspiration, like, the fact that he's got to work now with not only The Undertaker, but Matt Hardy, and he's not some of the best in the business at crafting storylines and characters like this, I think has only helped to better...
Built around magic and the unknown and the mystique, not built around, I'm a prize fighter, I fought for my belts.
Exactly. I mean, hell, how can we forget even Glenn Jacobs, Kane? I mean, he's worked with Kane in the past too. So you want to talk about the three people who's just pure storytelling wise, like magic and stuff like that. Those are the three people in the business you want to talk to when it comes to that kind of stuff.
If 10 years ago you would have told me Matt Hardy's name would appear next to Undertaker and Kane in guys that are known for their magic, I would probably smack the shit out of you.
It's definitely a different kind of, like, magic. I mean, again, Taker and Kane are a little bit more of the spooky, like, you know, evil undead type gimmick. Matt Hardy's a little bit more campy, a little more, like, you know, goofy in that regard. But you get your benefits from both sides. And I think I love the fact that Bray Wyatt's now become this, like, love child of Matt Hardy and the Brothers of Destruction.
Yeah, that, like, will that make him the best character in the history of wrestling? Probably.
Yeah, I mean, let's think about it. I mean, the way he does things with the Firefly Funhouse, that's, like, definitely a little bit more of the Matt Hardy style. But then with The Fiend, the way he does stuff like that, that's 100%. That's Taker, that's Kane, that's the teleporting in and out of the ring, the stuff like that. Like
the mask making you somebody else. Like, that is Kane.
Yes. So this was fantastic. One of the best two segments, I think, of the entire weekend. Which, it's funny because, again, if you asked me going into WrestleMania weekend what I was looking the most forward to, neither one of these things were on that list. So, again, huge props to all four men involved in the match. Huge props to the production team, to the crew, the writers, everybody that was involved in putting these things together. You guys busted your ass, gave us two of the best segments, not only for the weekend, but that I've seen probably ever. Like, those two definitely rank up there and, like,
oh yeah,
all-time great segments. But let's go ahead and wrap out WrestleMania with the main event. And that is for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre. And what a just awful way to like this. And this is not in regards to the ending of like the who wins the match, because spoiler alert, Drew McIntyre wins this match. The correct guy won, right guy won the match. Drew McIntyre holding up the belt, going off the air with McIntyre as the new champion. 100% the way you should have gone with it. But for the last match of the show, my God, just what a weak point to go out on. This was a bad match. This was like the Goldberg match. This was peak.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. This match was entirely on par with the Goldberg match because they just went with, both of these guys have explosive finishers.
Yes.
F5, spear, running power slams and claymores and suplexes there was probably a total between the two matches of 5 moves done.
Like, at least with the Goldberg match, I can kind of understand why you have to book it so poorly. But Brock Lesnar is one of the best athletes on the planet, and so is Drew McIntyre is a freak of nature. Yep. Why do you handcuff these two guys so much? I don't know if it's WWE booking or if it's legitimately Brock just not wanting to go all out and putting somebody else over or putting in the effort to having a match at Mania in which nobody's there. I feel like it's that. I feel like Brock's like, well, nobody's here. Why am I going to put my body on the line and, do all this extra selling and everything if there's no one here to see it? I don't care how much money you pay me. I'm not doing that, because Brock is all about himself. So this wasn't good. This was peak Brock Lesnar laziness. I don't put this on Drew McIntyre at all, because we know Drew McIntyre can put on amazing matches. He frequently does that, and Brock Lesnar can too. But he's developed into a two-trick pony. He does Suplex City. He does the F5. That's all you got. He is the new Goldberg in that regard, at least, because Goldberg hits the spear and the jackhammer. That's it. I mean, obviously the comparisons to Goldberg have always been there, but I never thought it would get this bad to where he is Goldberg doing 2 moves in a match. Yep. But that's all this match was. This was Drew McIntyre hitting the Claymore out the gate. Brock Lesnar kicks out. And then immediately we go into Suplex City for like 2 or 3 minutes. Then he hits an F5. Drew McIntyre kicks out at 1. Hits another F5. Drew McIntyre kicks out at 2. Hits a third F5. Drew McIntyre kicks out at like 2.5. And then out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre hits 3 Claymores in a row to win the match. New WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre. So I'm done griping on the match. If you have anything you want to say, but
I think we spent more time on the match than they did. I honestly, this match made me so upset because night 1 went out on the perfect spot. Night 2 went out on the perfect spot of Drew McIntyre holding the belt. Night 1, great match. Night 2, maybe 2.5 minute match that was absolute dog shit. Well, I didn't want to say it, but dog shit.
What frustrates me too is the fact that you could have not only, if you didn't want to book this match better, you could have ended this night on the Firefly Funhouse. You could have ended this match on the Charlotte match. Because remember, you started the night with Charlotte and Rhea Ripley.
And if you were going to be that lazy, then just cut an extra 1.5 minutes out of the match and make it a minute match.
Exactly.
Just make it what it was supposed to be. Brock hits an F5, 1. Brock hits an F5, 2. Brock hits an F5, 2.5. Oh my God, I can't understand how this is happening. Claymore, 1, 2, 3. Cool.
But no, they wanted to drag it out, and
I didn't need the first 2.5 minutes of that match.
Yeah, they wanted to drag it out and build the suspense of, oh my God, Drew McIntyre won't go down. He's not giving up, blah, blah, which I get it.
I get it.
But, I understand. I do. But if you're going to do that, then just you can still create that narrative out of a regular match. You don't have to just have it be Brock Lesnar hitting the same move over and over again, and then Drew McIntyre hitting the same move over and over again to end the match. Like, you can actually have a legit match and get the same thing across without being lazy. And that's what makes me the most upset, is the fact that you saw throughout this entire pay-per-view people step up, elevate themselves both nights. People that you didn't expect to. The John Cena, Bray Wyatt, the Taker, AJ Styles, the triple threat ladder match. Like, you saw people step up and go, no, I don't care that WrestleMania is in front of nobody. I don't care that it's pre-taped at the Performance Center and we're missing all the pop and circumstance. This is WrestleMania, damn it. This is supposed to be the biggest show of the year, and we are going to bust our ass and put on for the fans one of the best shows of the year to better the industry, because that's what we do. Mm-hmm. That is how...
Well, I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, even you look at, like, the Street Profits, Austin Theory, Angel Garza, those guys all went out there and they put on an absolute hell of a match, considering there was no build.
Yeah.
One of these teams is not even a team. They've never teamed together before.
Exactly.
Like, they went out there and did that, and Brock couldn't even show up for work.
We saw Edge come back after 9 years and put on, like, I mean, we talked about how long the match was, like a 35-minute plus.
35-minute, yeah, last man standing match.
And then
we're not talking about just fight. We're talking about getting hit with chairs and steps and thrown neck first into the barricade. Like, we had guys going through all that, and then Brock and Goldberg couldn't even bother to show up.
Exactly. Like, and that's what's so frustrating, is that you guys are supposed to be the cream of the crop, the top of the industry. You're the guys that at one point, you were just the champion. You were representing WWE. You're representing the wrestling business as a whole, because, like it or not, and it's inherently true, when you are the WWE champion, the Universal Champion, you represent the business as a whole. You're the guy that's going on ESPN, on Fox News, on CNN, having all the interviews and pumping up the business, and you're doing the show and tells, and having the photo ops with little kids and stuff like that. That's supposed to be you. Does Brock Lesnar and Goldberg do any of that when they're the champions? No. Did we see Goldberg go on press tours or Brock Lesnar go on press tours? No. Do we see them showing up and doing meet and greets with the fans? No.
This is the ironic thing. I think I've seen Jon Moxley on TV more with Big Platinum than I've seen Brock and Goldberg combined.
And this is why I don't understand why you push them as the top guys. Because if your whole idea is, oh, we want people who are legitimate badasses like these two representing our company, the problem is they don't represent your company because you never see them. Like, I get if your whole idea is, oh, they're an attraction, blah, 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 whatever. It's the attraction of Brock Lesnar and Goldberg. But, again, your champion's supposed to be the guy that's going to go out and represent your company. I mean,
because you could just as easily, if you're worried about legitimate badass being your champion, you could just as easily look at Bobby Lashley and go, hey, Bobby Lashley, you show up to work every week. You would go on a press tour. You have been on press tours as the IC champion. We'll strap the belt on you. Or
and
as the TNA champion.
And my God,
strap the belt on him.
And like, love or hate the guy, Roman Reigns, who worked harder than Roman Reigns to put WWE over? When every arena he was going to, he was getting torn to shreds, getting booed week in and week out. Who's the guy going to meet and greets with the kids? Who's the guy on ESPN promoting the championship and your company? Like, you have someone like that who can work their ass off 365 every single week. And then you have someone like Brock Lesnar and Goldberg who can show up to work like once a month, not do half of the work, like less than half of the work that any of these guys that are here on a weekly basis do, and you still push them to the moon. And that's what's so frustrating to me.
And this is the thing. I think Vince McMahon needs to be honest with himself and realize that these part-timers, while yes, they're an attraction, they should not have runs with the title.
No.
Ever.
And I loved Goldberg on his first return. Like I did.
Yeah,
I
that was
loved
fun.
I was not one of the people that were like, "Oh my god, you had Goldberg." No. I thought him coming
He was there every week.
Yeah.
He brought his family. He went to pressers.
Yeah,
He was on ESPN.
I thought Goldberg coming back and having that one last run, that last hoo-wah, send off, thanks guys, that was fantastic. Right off in the sunset. That was fantastic. And then you brought him back. And that's my problem.
Again, it's fine until you strap the title on him.
Exactly.
If you would have brought him back for just a match with Roman Reigns, cool. If you'd have brought him back for just a match with Undertaker, despite him being concussed, cool. I'm okay with that. Like I geek out every year when Taker has a match. That's fine because they're not strapping the title on him, despite me wanting to because I'm an Undertaker mark, and they don't do that because he's not going to show up every week. He has a family. He has to heal. He has to take time to relax. He's not going to show up to pressers because he can't. He has a life.
But
it's not like Roman or like Seth.
But here's the sad thing is that at least you have an excuse for Goldberg in that sense. There is no excuse for Brock Lesnar as to why he doesn't do any of those things. He's not like Taker or Goldberg where he's an aging superstar, like watching the prime of his life dim out. Like he's not to that point where he's beat up with injuries. He's not, I mean, yes, he does have a family, but he's not like, he's not in these situations. Like Brock Lesnar can do the press runs. He can show up to Raw every week. He just chooses not to. And you let him. And that's the sad part, is that there's no excuse. Brock's in the prime of his career. Brock's like what, like 30-something? Like 36, 37?
I think so. I have no idea, but yeah, probably.
Yeah, like even if he is in his 40s, like, okay, AJ Styles. Like, come on. Like,
well, and this is the thing, and I'm going to continue to say it till I'm blue in the face, and McMahon is never going to do anything about it, but he needs to just sit down and go, look, Brock, I love having you around here. I'll continue to pay you. I'll continue to have you out on the show, but I'm not putting a title on you.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I'm not going to throw you in the title picture. Nothing. What they really should do is do like what they did in AEW with Cody. Just put him in a match where he gets frustrated, like he can't win, he's having trouble beating McIntyre, and then he goes, okay, I'll give you one last shot, but if you lose, you never challenge for this title again.
Here's the problem, is that if you're WWE, you've booked yourself into a corner. You put the streak, Brock Lesnar, over the streak. You booked Brock Lesnar as this unkillable monster that can't lose matches. The guy that conquered Goldberg, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, the list goes on and on. So when you book someone that strong, and I mean, if it was anybody else, you could maybe get away with all of a sudden having him start to lose matches. But you put him over the streak. People are never going to forget that. So you can never have Brock Lesnar just be an average guy because of what you did and the way you've booked him these last 5 or 6 years. And it's because of that you've booked yourself into a corner. For that exact reason alone, I don't think we need Brock Lesnar. I genuinely feel like, and I like Brock Lesnar. I think it's cool to see when you see him show up on Raw and SmackDown. Like, it's cool to see him. But I think the wrestling industry as a whole has gotten to the point where we can move on and succeed without Brock Lesnar. We did it when he was in MMA and he left us the first time. We'll be just fine without him. We don't need Brock Lesnar. We don't. WWE does not need Brock Lesnar. Why Vince McMahon thinks that we need Brock on Raw and as a champion, like why he's obsessed with this idea that we can't go forward unless Brock Lesnar's in the title picture, I don't understand. But we don't. We don't need Brock Lesnar. We don't. You have the black Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. You don't need Brock.
All right. Before we get carried away, match of the night.
Match of the night, again, if I want to say the Firefly Funhouse, but it's
a match.
It's a match, so that is my match of the night, Firefly Funhouse. Nothing entertained me. I didn't have as much fun as I did for anything else than that segment.
And I'm going to do the same thing I did last time because you're taking one that is very clearly a gimmick match. I'm going to go with Rhea and Charlotte for my match of the night. Personally, my favorite thing about the night was the Firefly Funhouse, but again, both things needed to be represented. So I was going to pick the Funhouse if you didn't. What's going to be your MVP for tonight?
So my MVP, I'm torn because I want to give it to Edge because seeing that man come back after 9 years, put his body through hell in that match with Randy Orton, just fantastic. But I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm actually going to give my MVP to the producers of the Firefly Funhouse match. I thought whoever wrote that out, and it may be Bray Wyatt, I don't know who produced it, but you guys did a fantastic job. I mean, even I want to overall ask for overall show MVP, producers, like the company as a whole, WWE, shout out because this was just fantastic. But, I mean, yeah, whether you want to, I guess I'll say Bray Wyatt in that regard. I mean, God, this was everything that it needs to be and more. I'll steal a line from you and give Fight Mode Fighter, I guess, or Marcus's Macho, whatever you want to call it.
Marcus's Macho Man of the Night.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it, to Edge because, god dang, dude, I mean, I'm so happy that you're back. Personally, one of my favorite performers of all time. I love me some Rated R Superstar. I hope that this isn't, this obviously isn't the end. I hope that we see a lot more of you going forward. I can't wait to see where your career goes from here. If it is just for another year, then I'm looking forward to this next year more than anything else that's happened in the last, I don't even know how long. So, massive, massive props to the Rated R Superstar Edge. Massive props to Randy for taking some of the bumps that he took in that match. But, yeah, no, my MVP is going to be Bray Wyatt and subsequently the producers of the show tonight or last night.
Okay. I'm going to go way out of the box here for my MVP. I'm going to pick Otis.
Well, you surprised me.
Look, I agree the Firefly Funhouse was awesome. I want to pick somebody from that match. But the Otis thing, literally, when I think about WrestleMania 36, I'm gonna picture Undertaker riding off into the sunset.
Moonlight, but yeah, same thing.
And Otis carrying Mandy Rose backstage. I don't know why it's one of the 3 biggest moments of WrestleMania this year for me. And I was hype about Braun winning, and I was hype about Drew winning, but there's nothing like Otis beating Dolph Ziggler for the love of Mandy Rose.
All right. So, going forward,
Fight Mode Fighter of the Night, Drew McIntyre. Way to come out in fight mode. Way to overcome the early onslaught from Brock Lesnar. And congratulations, kid, on your first WWE Championship in addition to becoming the first ever British-born WWE Champion. Congratulations.
There you go. So, a couple things I want to discuss is the fact that, first, thank God that this was a 2-night show. I was critical of it, but I am so effing happy that this show was 2 days long, because had this been your average, 8-hour long WrestleMania, then this would have been just like any other pay-per-view. I would have just been like, oh God, that's too long. This is going on forever. It would have been bad. But honestly, I feel like going forward, WrestleMania needs to be 2 nights long because the show's too damn long every year. This was so much easier to digest.
I agree entirely in that. That's why other companies do it that way. But WWE loves the idea that if you're at WrestleMania, you're at WrestleMania. So, if you're going to WrestleMania, you're going to start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're going to be there till midnight. You're going to be there for 9 hours watching wrestling with the sun beating down on you in Miami. It's 100 degrees. Well, it's not 100 degrees because it's April, but it's 70 degrees. And, I don't know. There's just this stigma about it. I can't see WWE doing it except for with one exception. I could see them doing it, but requiring that you buy both days.
I mean, they already do it in a sense where, like, I mean, the way WrestleMania weekend works is you have the Hall of Fame, you have TakeOver, WrestleMania, and then you have the Raw after Mania. So it's a 4-day weekend experience. That's the way they do it, right? They've been doing it. So it would be so easy for them to just, I mean, I feel bad for TakeOver, but either A, that, or you just move the Hall of Fame to like what they did this year and move it to SummerSlam weekend, and then you just make one of the days WrestleMania.
Well, see, this is what I think would be perfect. You do TakeOver on Friday night instead of SmackDown. Just eliminate the go home SmackDown. There's no point. You do TakeOver on Friday night, and then on Saturday you do WrestleMania. Sunday you do WrestleMania. So WrestleMania Access traditionally runs Saturday as well, sometime during the day. So you could do that prior to Mania on Saturday, and prior to Mania on Sunday, instead of doing nothing, do the Hall of Fame ceremony, because WrestleMania Sunday is going to start at 6, 7 o'clock. It's not going to start at 3 anymore. So you have time to, maybe even in the same space that you have Access, just have the Hall of Fame ceremony.
Yeah.
Or move it to SummerSlam weekend. Either way, but eliminate the go home show for SmackDown. Put TakeOver.
We wouldn't even have to eliminate it. I mean, you could do. How many times have we seen them do a super SmackDown on like a Tuesday night or something? So you could very easily do a Tuesday night show for SmackDown.
Well, here's my thing. SmackDown's a 2-hour show on USA. NXT's a 2-hour show on USA. You just say to SmackDown, hey, you don't have Fridays because of WrestleMania. We're gonna give you the 2-hour time slot on Wednesday, and then on Friday night we'll do TakeOver.
You could. I don't know if I like getting rid of the.
But I mean, why not?
I don't know if I like getting rid of the go home NXT show. I don't know. I don't like that.
If it means we get to have TakeOver and WrestleMania for 2 days, I'll take it.
I mean, you could just put SmackDown on Tuesday. They've done it so many times in the past. It's not like it'd be some magical idea. Like, you could just do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Raw, SmackDown, NXT.
SmackDown's not on USA now anyways, so that wouldn't matter.
Yeah, so...
That would complicate things. Never mind. I apologize, Fox. I totally forgot that you were just shilling out billions of dollars for the worst.
Billions of dollars for what's undoubtedly the worst show in pro wrestling right now.
I think I'd rather watch Impact.
Yep. But,
I would rather watch Impact.
I definitely would rather watch Impact. But no, that was my first takeaway, is that WrestleMania definitely going forward, it was, if you're not going to do it 2 days, just know that this was so much easier to digest as a 2-day show. This was way better as 2 nights. The second thing is that I got to just give, again, major props to WWE for taking the situation that they were given with this whole COVID-19 nonsense and really making lemonade out of lemons. I mean, you guys really took a show that everybody was saying was going to be one of the worst WrestleManias ever. Us included, we were both heavily critical of you continuing to host WrestleMania at the time that you were going to host it. I mean, nobody thought this was going to be a good show. And you gave the middle finger to everybody. I mean, Vince won. I mean, I hate to say it, but Vince, you won. I mean, you were correct. You're right. God, I hate saying that, but he was right. He proved us wrong again. Damn it. And yeah, WrestleMania was good this year. It was a very enjoyable show. I mean, when I look back on this Mania years from now, is this going to be one of the top Manias of all time? No, but it's definitely one that I'm never going to forget. I'll say that. Like, this is definitely, when I think of WrestleMania, I am going to think about WrestleMania 36. This is going to be a show that I never forget, that I'll tell my children about, that I'll tell other wrestling fans about. Like, it's the most unique experience in WWE history, something that you've never seen before, and you did fantastic. So huge hats off to WWE. Everyone that was involved with putting the show together, seriously, major props.
Agreed entirely. I hate to give you your props because not your biggest fan right now, but you guys put together a fantastic show. Vince, I still hate you, although I will show you respect. You were right about this one. Not that I fully agree. I still, wrestlers should have been in the crowd. I still agree with that. There were still some comments about it being so very different when it's dead silent outside the ring. So I get that, and of course the city of Orlando was really pushing you guys to have no one in the building more than you needed to. So understandable why you didn't. But yeah, great show. WrestleMania 36 was not bad, which is good, I guess, because I thought it was going to be absolutely awful.
I guess my third biggest takeaway from this is if you can do this with WrestleMania, why don't you do this on a weekly basis with Raw and SmackDown? You know what this proved to me? You showed your hand, WWE. Because for a minute I was starting to think you just can't do it anymore. That you just maybe you don't got it. You don't got the creative
You have
genius.
no idea what you're doing.
You've lost your way. No, you tipped your hat. This shows that you can do it. So then I don't know if it's that you just don't want to, if it's laziness. I don't know what it is, but you've shown, this proves that you can still put on good shows, so why don't we see this on a weekly basis? At this point, now I'm holding you to even a higher standard than I was before, because I was giving Raw, bare minimum, it's Monday Night Raw, whatever, and then SmackDown we've completely tuned out of.
Original match.
Yeah, SmackDown we've completely tuned out of. Now I'm sitting here there's no excuse. I need to go into Raw and be we need to be seeing stuff like this. I don't get it. I am going to hold you to the standard that you have set yourself, because now there's no excuse. And if Raw and SmackDown give me trash like you've been giving me, weeks prior to Mania, I am gonna hold your feet to the fire, and I'm gonna sit there, and when me and Nick come on for our review shows, we're gonna say, why is WWE underperforming when they have the talent not only in the ring but creatively to put on good shows? There's no excuse anymore, because you've showed us that you can do it. So now I'm interested to see going forward what you do, WWE. You've piqued my interest, and now I need you to prove me wrong, in the sense prove me wrong again, because now again you proved me wrong with Mania, so I don't think you can do it. So I want you to prove me wrong going forward, that you can book good shows on a weekly basis. Please prove me wrong.
Alrighty, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here, unless you have anything else.
I do have something else. So, last takeaway I want to have from WrestleMania weekend is comparisons between Night 1 and Night 2. So, looking at the way Night 1 just seemed to progress and get better the entire show, whereas Night 2, it kind of just went on a roller coaster ride. And when Night 2 got bad, it got really bad. So for me, if I had to pick between which night of Mania I prefer, I'd have to say Night 1 of WrestleMania was leagues better than Night 2.
That's easy. I mean, I'm in a couple of group chats, and every single one of them, they're like, oh, I don't know what's better, Night 1 or Night 2. Night 2 had this, and I'm like, no, Night 2 was absolutely lackluster in comparison to Night 1. I mean, yeah, it had its ups, and the Firefly Funhouse match was fantastic, but, there's no comparison.
Yeah,
there's just not.
When Night 2 was bad, it was bad.
When I could feasibly pick Otis as an MVP because he made me feel the second most emotion of the night, that's a problem.
Well, I don't know if I agree. If I go that far, Otis is my dude, so I love the guy.
I love Otis, but I should not be able to feasibly on Night 2 of WrestleMania pick him as my MVP, and yet I did.
Yeah, but yeah, no, Night 1 easily takes the cake. I think for the most part. I feel like most people are in agreement with that. Night 2 was just, it wasn't that it was bad. It was just, again, it had its low points, and when it did get low, it just was really bad. And then I can't get over how, I mean, yeah, you ended with the shot of McIntyre as champion, but just how much of a low point you ended WrestleMania Night 2 on with that just piss poor match between Lesnar and Drew McIntyre. I that's something that I can't get over. Night 1 of WrestleMania ended with such an emotional feeling for me. Like, it made me feel a way about wrestling and WrestleMania that I hadn't felt since the streak died. Honestly, I hadn't felt that type of emotion. Seeing Undertaker back in a match like that against AJ Styles brought so much emotionally out of me. And then my feeling at the end of Night 2 was just, oh, cool, that's it. Like, I felt nothing when Night 2 of WrestleMania was over. And that's not how you should feel wrapping up your biggest pay-per-view of the year. So, Night 1, easily, that's going to be the better of the 2 nights of Mania. But overall, like I said, Mania, you get a thumbs up. Good show. Can't wait to see what you do going forward. So, with that, we will be returning with the weekend wrap-up. Obviously, there's not going to be a lot of news this week because Mania, but it's basically going to be a Monday Night Raw review. In fact, I might even just call it a Monday Night Raw review at this point.
Yeah, that's fine. Mania happened.
Yeah, so, well, and again, I mean, hell, if Raw is good, if Raw can show us that it's good, you may get some Raw reviews back. I don't know. We'll see. But going forward, yeah, you're going to get, the next video is going to be basically a Monday Night Raw review, and then after that, obviously, we're going to have the Wednesday Night Wars video. That'll probably come out on, say, Friday. The Monday Night Raw review / weekend wrap-up review, whatever you want to call it, that's probably going to come out on, say, like, Wednesday or Thursday. So look forward to that. Make sure you're keeping an eye on your sub boxes if you're subscribed on YouTube, or paying attention to the Twitters or the Facebooks or Instagrams for notifications for new videos. Obviously, links to those are down in the description below. The Wrevolution Pro Wrestling Podcast is only available as for now on YouTube due to the way we are filming our show. So we are unavailable in audio-only format. I know I had someone ask me that on Twitter about where you could find us audio-wise.
Interaction.
Yeah, so, yeah, unfortunately, we are still only available on YouTube due to the COVID-19 situation. But once that is over, as I say every video, if you want to go ahead and follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play Podcasts, Podbean, wherever you find good, fine pro wrestling podcasts, then once this whole nonsense is over, we will be back there and we'll be filling your feed with fantastic podcasts week in and week out. So, without further ado, that was your WrestleMania 36 review live from Studio 6. My name is Marcus White.
And live from the spare bedroom, my name is your Wrevolution Pro Wrestling Podcast World Heavyweight Champion, Fight Mode Nick Cavalli. Oh God, that sounds so good. Especially because I, been sitting here nodding my head for about 5 minutes. It felt good.
And with that, we invite you as always to join the Revolution.
Join the Revolution. Have a good night, guys.
Have a fantastic night.